All right, hello, and welcome to Adventures in Lollygagging. We are playing a special one-shot tonight of Black Sword Hack. Got the book right here. It is a game by Kobayashi. It's put out by the Merry Mushmen. If you're familiar with like the Knock OSC books, like same folks who are putting this out. It's a rules light OSR. It's like kind of dark, weird fantasy. So if you're like a Michael Moorcock fan, Robert E. Howard, that kind of stuff, Fritz Lieber, that kind of style. So we're doing that tonight. Special little one shot. Our friend Long, who is in so many of our Friday and Saturday night games, is still out of the country. So we're just sort of filling with some stuff until he gets back and we start up our Delta Green campaign. But in place of Long, we've invited Jeremy, who is very familiar to the channel, usually in our Monday games. But he's going to jump on in and play with us. So, do you all have any questions about the game before we get started? Any questions about anything like this? It's a fairly simple game, but any questions, rules questions, world questions?
Not life now, questions, they'll come up later.
Existential
You want to know if he can take a long rest before the game even starts?
Yeah, Steven.
Yeah, can I get my Doom up to D8, please?
Steven, you know what, man? You can take that long rest, but you can't increase your Doom. So Steven just brought up one of the interesting mechanics in Black Sword Hack. It's called the Doom die, which is something that you have to roll periodically, because this is a game about the struggle between law and chaos. Is kind of the sort of the general concept here, and how like reality is sort of coming to an end because of that struggle. And the Doom die is a feature in the game where periodically you have to roll it, sometimes because you did bad, and sometimes because you want to do good. And if it ever depletes, then you become doomed, and you have really, really bad luck for the rest of the night. Kind of like Dan from the Defenders of Cobalt luck. Like that's what you're going to have. That's basically what it becomes. So it's the Dan die is what it's going to be. Okay. Any other random questions that we want to throw out there, or random mechanics and things like that? No, I'm good.
Not yet.
I have started. I said everyone can start out at level 3. So this is like I said, this OSR, so Old School Renaissance, light game, D20, roll under. You got your usual array of stats that you would expect to see in a game like this, and there are these. There are backgrounds, there are gifts, and there's things like that. So let's do a quick roundup, really fast. I'm just kind of curious. Just say what your character's name is, and tell us about the different backgrounds you chose. In this game, there are 3 categories of backgrounds, and you essentially smash a few of those together to create your character. There's no classes as much as there are these backgrounds that combine together to create what you're doing. And there's barbarian, there's one category, decadent, another category, and civilized is another category. And there's like something like 8 backgrounds, I think, in each. And you pick 3 of them, and that's essentially the starting point for your class. So just tell us the name of your character. And just tell us what backgrounds did you pick? And we'll get into the physical stuff later, what you look like in a minute. So Melissa, tell us about Lark.
So I am playing Locke Tanley. She was born inside an invocation pentacle near the sorcerer's body and had nothing to do with sorcery ever again. So I went with civilized in her origin. So she is an inventor, a sophist, and a storyteller.
Fantastic. Perfect. All right. Next up, Jeremy, tell us about Cassius.
I'm Cassius Vanryk. Grew up as a street urchin, became swordmaster, dabble with some inventing. Everything's great.
Fantastic. I like it. Already. You seem way more sketchy than Cuspid, the previous inventor you've had on the channel.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Fair enough. Next up, Ashley, tell us about Baldra.
My name is Baldra, and I happen to be born in the belly of a beast that was slain by my adopted parents. And I was born. My life was rather decadent, you could see, with my adopted parents. And my background's. I'm a bit of a. This is not me.
Ashley's looking at the wrong character sheet. Is that what's going on?
Well, no, it's my name, but
Oh no.
It's got.
You've got a blood.
Did you
metal
accidentally
sickle.
randomize?
Oh, did you hit the randomize
No,
button?
I didn't hit the button. Oh,
Okay.
God.
Uh-oh.
Well, we'll come
Okay.
back. Ashley, I'll figure that out. and we'll
Anyways,
come-
no,
yeah.
I have it written down on my
Okay, good.
Excel spreadsheet. So let me just get it. I
Is
am a scout, an assassin, and I have some forbidden knowledge.
Which means you're
I
a
have-
caster. Yeah.
Yes, which those will come up later. Bye.
Okay. Perfect.
Bye.
Next up, there's a but. I was like, is there going to be more? Next up, Derek, tell us about whatever the hell the name of your character is. Oh, God.
Yeah. So I'm like Durgak Gimmeldink. I was born in a civilized kingdom, but I was like a hostage at one point, so I got traded around. You know how it goes. Anyway, I was farming for a while, had my own farm. Happy with that life, simple, put bread on the table, but now the government's trying to take my farm, so I'm just like trying to get it back, you know?
Fantastic. Okay. All right. I love it. Big fan of throwing like the surfer boy accent in settings that don't normally have them. I'm a huge fan of that. And then finally, we got Steven. Steven, tell us about Scud. Good. What is it?
I'm Scud. Scud was born in a hut. He is a barbarian. He's a berserker. He's a scout, and he's vicious. What else do you need to know?
No, that's about it. That's fine. Okay. So now we got those out of the way. Let's start up and we'll see where we go. So let me see. I told you all I was going to start you in a relatively weird manner. So let's start that up. I'm going to do this cinematically. Okay. We ready? So let's see. Who's the first person? All right. We open up and we see that the camera kind of fades in and we see this dark, desolate hill, kind of black dirt, occasional patches of kind of yellow gray tufts of grass periodically sticking up, but most of it is just this dark, horrific dirt. We see these gnarled roots and we follow those up to a tree, this extraordinarily large, dark gray, ashen tree with only a couple bits of vegetation here and there. And we hear the sound of a creak. Not so much a branch creaking, but like the sound of a tire swing. But it is not a tire that is swinging from the rope. Instead, it is Lark Tanley, who is swinging back and forth in a very gentle pendulum, rope tied around her ankles and boots. She's hanging upside down from a very high branch, but not remotely high as the top of this tree, as that's not even visible as this dark mist is kind of wafting around. And we also see that a small black bird is sitting on Lark's nose, on the nostrils, pecking away at your forehead to some degree. So this is what you feel, and this is partly what you see as your eyes open up, Lark. So just describe what Lark looks like and what on earth she does in this situation.
So Lark is she's got super curly long red hair. So at this point it's just upside down, just kind of down, kind of dragging in the dirt a bit. She has sort of kind of wide kind of pants that she has on, and kind of a white top. And so she kind of comes to just sort of looks around. Excuse me, what is the meaning of this?
And you look around and there's no one around you. All you see is this dark hill, mud, gnarled roots from this tree that are quite significant. Like they're up and out, like kind of undulating almost, like a Loch Ness monster hump into the mud itself. And you're just very slight very slight swing, like just a tiny pendulum. And it's just your arms are free, like everything's fine. And you've got, like, looks like you have some of your gear, but some of it is not immediately accessible. But you're just swinging back and forth. And that bird, as you start to talk, stops, lifts off, flies up, and is now sitting on top of your boots.
Yes. Hello. Hello.
So you start to spin a little bit as you crane your head up to look at the bird. And as you do, you can see, as you track the ground, you think what you think was at one point a gnarled root popping up out of the ground is in fact a person buried basically to their chest, and you can see a shirt just barely peeking up out of that dirt, and you can see that their face is covered in what look like flies and gnats. And as you shout, as the bird squawks a bit, we see that all those gnats and flies and such suddenly burst free, and underneath we see the face of Durgak Gimmeldink. So, Derek, can you describe that face, please?
Yeah, so Durgak is a rather plain-looking commoner. In fact, you'd never tell him from an NPC. The only remotely interesting thing about him is that he's got, like, a pretty good beard, fair amount of dirt caked into it from his days of farming, and now being buried as a tree.
And so, as all of these flies move off, like, you can feel maybe one or two of them was like a mosquito and kind of pecked you a bit. Your eyes open up and you see the red hair of Lark Tanley and her face slightly twisting around. She's looking at you. You're roughly head high. Like, Lark's head upside down is roughly the same height as Durgat's head sticking up out of the ground. And there is still that bird kind of, periodically moving around here and there. Durgak, you are buried up to around your waist. Your arms are half buried as well. And Lark, your arms are free, but you're hanging upside down. Either of you want to do anything?
Durgak will kind of look left and right and say, is this like the afterlife or something? Who are you, a demon? Why are you floating around me?
Oh dear. Oh dear. Well, I suppose if this were the afterlife, this might be about what I deserve. Hanging upside down for eternity. I think I deserve that. But I don't believe so. And she's going to kind of go, because you said her hands are free, right?
Your hands are free. Durgak's, yours are slightly buried. Durgak, if you were just trying to force your way out, you might be able to just crawl out with a strength test if you wanted to try that. But Lark, what was your idea here?
So she's going to reach into her pocket, and she's going to dig around, and she sort of has this, like, there's a pocket within the pocket, and she's going to kind of reach in and pull out this little bit of metal that's sort of curled up. And she's going to kind of speak to it. Nigel, it's time to wake up. It's time to wake up. And you see this sort of unfurling of the metal, and it's this little owl. And so she's going to go, dig him out. Go dig him out. And she's going to sort of toss Nigel, this is little owl automaton, with the instruction to dig around Durgak.
Okay. And I'll say, is there any roll that you have to make for your inventor items? I don't think so, but I think in this case,
can follow simple orders up to 6 words.
Simple enough. So this mechanical owl unfolds, hops down. However, at the unfurling, that little black bird that was kind of climbing up panics a little bit and just squawks this high screech and flies up into the mist to the higher parts of the tree and disappears. But we'll say at this point, your little pal Nigel hops down and starts digging away. And if that's the case, this is just a matter of time, no roll necessary. We'll say over a couple minutes, Durgak, you watch as this little mechanical owl is just moving around you here and there, using maybe a little bit of its beak or its mechanical wing to just sort of dig, and eventually your arms come free and you can pull yourself up out of the dirt.
Oh, wow, that's like really cool. How did you make that? And then Durgak will try and get her down, stumbling with the rope at first because he's not good with knots.
Yeah, easily enough to do.
It's a trade secret. It's a trade secret. I never share. I can make you one, but I would never tell you.
So, as the two of you are having this discussion, as Durgak, you're untying her, the two of you hear a meow, and you hear it from a little further up the tree. And as you look up, you realize that the mist at this point has parted, and you can actually see that the tree continues to go up further, another 20, 15 feet, something like that. And that's where you see the trunk tips over to like a 45-degree angle. And you see wrapped around several layers of rope and hanging face down, as if on that underside of the bough is looking down. We see Cassius Vanryk. What does Cassius look like as we look up and we see his relatively terrified face as now you can see the ground below you?
Well, there's a small portion of my face that's still handsome, blonde-haired, blue-eyed, but most of it's been burned terribly. Some of it my fault, some of it other people's fault. That's fine. That's fine. I've got some old patchwork legionary armor with some like lines of electricity and other things like that. Terribly unsafe inventions, but I know what I'm doing. I'm fine. I'm fine, except for I'm on this tree. I'm not fine. Somebody get me down.
Okay. So Lark or Durgak, is there anything you want to do? As I will say, Lark, you're free. Durgak is able to free you without too much difficulty. But you see about 20 to 25 feet up at this point from where you were, or actually 15 to 20 feet up from where you were, Lark, there is another person wrapped around several layers, face looking down on a 45-degree angle to where you are. Face kind of red at this point, probably from blood.
Oh, Cassius, you are always so high-strung. Everything is going to be fine. At least you are upright. I was just tied by my feet.
I'm not upright. I'm upside down. You're more upside down, but that doesn't make me less upside down.
Oh, you're right. I was upside down, and you were the same way I was. So now that I see. I got you. Don't worry.
Can your bird cut him down? I can totally catch him or something as he falls.
I mean, I have hands. I can do it myself, but sure. Cassius, just hold a minute. Apparently this is an exhibition piece. So Nigel, can you please go let him down? Here you go, Nigel.
So Nigel will go up and he'll start with the beak, ripping through the ropes, no problem. However, Cassius, I would like you to make, and you can do either a strength test or a dexterity test since you are on the underside of this bough, as these ropes are coming free, you need to grab hold of something. And so either dex, like an acrobatics, or your strength, your sheer strength. So roll one of those two to prevent yourself from falling down to the ground.
I think I'm going to go dex.
Okay. Go right ahead. And so as the last of the ropes breaks, you just reach out, you grab part of this branch, and you swing around. You hear it snap, but at the same time, you manage to swing and just wrap your arms as best you can around the trunk. Safe.
Perfect plan. Excellent execution. You're welcome.
Now, as you're up here now, and you're a little bit safer, and you're starting to shimmy down, the mist around you, you're starting to see a better view of the area. You can see, you can hear the sounds of waves not too far away. You can even see what looks like peaks, maybe rooftops, and in the sort of the northwesternly direction. You hear waves coming from the east. You can see sort of just relatively flat expanse to the west and to the southwest. But you actually also, while you're up here, you notice a person running as fast as they can, just breakneck speeds, running up the hill in the direction of this tree. And it is Baldra. So Ashley, what does Baldra look like? You are running again at breakneck speed. You have no real memory of what you're running from, but just the vague memory that it was something threatening. So what do you look like? And what is that fleeting memory that the further you get up this hill, the more and more it goes away from your memory? What have you been running from?
And she's just hitting herself as she's running. And she's a rather short woman, and she has vitiligo, I think is how you pronounce it. So she's got like white splotches on her skin, and she's got it in her hair. But other than that, she just wears rather frumpy brown leather clothing that's just cinched at her waist. And then since she is decadent, she has like a kind of brightly colored undershirt that she tries to hide so it's not too noticeable. But yeah, she's screaming as she's running towards the tree, and she's just hitting herself.
Spiders
Like-
is what you're screaming out. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And as you look at your hands, as you're swiping them down, you notice that there's no spiders either on your hands or on your person. And Cassius, from your angle, as you're starting to shimmy down, she doesn't seem to be being followed. However, Baldra, as you're running up and you're maybe slowing down a bit, it is a very steep hill, very large hill, very dark hill. You do notice about halfway up, there is this very small landing area. And there is this stone altar that is set up with these like one flat like plinth and then two stone legs underneath it. It's not well made. It's just it's very smooth and cracked at certain points, but it's not undulating in any particular way. And you hear snoring. And when you look underneath the altar, you see that there is a man that is curled up sleeping. And it's Scud. Scud, what do you look like as you're sleeping underneath this altar?
Scud has muscles, more muscles than everyone else here combined. Scud does not have hair. Not a single hair across his entire body, not even eyebrows. Scud is always oiled, always glistening. And Scud wears pants, but Scud does not skip leg day. So the pants are shattered and ripped from the muscles being so big. They are now shorts.
So as you're standing there, Baldra, you see Scud, and Scud, you wake up because Baldra was screaming, and she was screaming within just a handful of feet from you, and you wake up with like that vague memory of the dream. It's like back here, you can kind of see it, but you can't quite remember it all. What's something you remember from that dream as you wake up and you stare at Baldra looking down at you?
Was it a good dream or a bad dream?
It's up to you, man.
Scud was working on leg day. Scud was doing some body weight exercises because Scud has so many muscles that weights are meaningless. He can just use his own weight. Doing all sorts of lunges, anything to get that definition.
And so as that wonderful memory, that dream begins to fade, you see Baldra, who is wiping stuff off her, screaming about spiders. You look past her and you can see that there's this swirling gray mist or fog. You get out from underneath. You look around. Cassius, at this point, will say you're down from the tree. Lark, Durgak, you've managed to sort of clean yourselves off as best you can. And the five of you see each other. You know each other. Like you have full memory. You have full memory of each other, your faces. Like you recognize everybody. You know each other's names. You have vague memories of how you know each other. Like you think you might have been on a ship together, or maybe you were on like a caravan, a wagon caravan, or maybe you met at a marketplace at some point. It's so long ago, you don't really remember when, but you know each other, and you can sort of, you feel whatever affinity for each other that you feel like, but you do recognize each other. As you're lingering around, you can see that atop this hill that you're on, and even prior to that, Cassius, you had an even better vantage point. You can see that this mist and fog is sort of rolling about, but it occasionally parts, and you get these clearer views. And so, Cassius, you were able to see kind of to the northwest the crumbling walls and buildings of what you think is a city, but it doesn't look to be in particularly good condition. The name of that city escapes you. You can't quite place the name of that city, or even if you've been there before, the cityscape looks vaguely familiar. To the east, you kind of were able to see this rocky coast that gave way to a brooding ocean, and you saw this single lonely boat kind of drifting around in circles, unmoored. And to the southwest, it was like this sprawling pasture and you saw periodic like rocky outcroppings and flimsy cottages here and there. And so that's what you vaguely recall as you plop down, and all 5 of you are currently atop this hill at the base of this tree together. What would you like to do?
There was a city over there. Terrible shape. About the coast, there's a boat, just one boat. Why one boat? I don't know. It's weird. One boat. And then there's plains, and the houses are terrible there. Very plain on the plains. All our choices are bad. What bad choice do we want to make?
I don't know about you guys, but I have to get back home. I was just trying to the king took my farm, and I just wanted to have words with him and say how uncool that was. So I'd probably want to go to the rundown kingdom. Do you want some herbs, man? You seem very stressed right now.
I've actually got a lot in my patch here. This one is good for burning skin. This one is good for cleaning bones. This one, no, not that one. Why?
Scud does not approve of performance enhancing herbs. You got to work for it.
I've worked very hard my whole life, Scud.
Work harder. Work like Scud.
Cassius, the scars, we can tell you're trial and error. You've tried lots of things. You've
so many things.
Succeeded at some of those things.
It's true. So, boat, plains, city?
City.
Yeah, I like the city.
You can sell things to people in the city. Where did you come from, Baldra?
Baldra, you were probably running in the direction of that overgrown pasture area where all the outcroppings of rocks, some of the flimsy cottages, that was sort of, you were running kind of in an eastward clip, and so that's off to the west or the southwest.
I was near the cottages areas. I think if
you don't
I'm
remember
running,
that part, that's just a direction you were coming from.
she just turns and she looks she just turns to where she was running from. If I was running, we probably don't want to go back.
That is a fair point. You were running from there.
I say that the city or boat personally.
Okay. So as you discuss this, as you start descending the hill, you can see the mist clears a little bit more. Even around the hill itself, everything's kind of becoming clearer and clearer. The more you stand here, the more you talk. You can see that the roots of the tree begin, they're easier to see as the fog depletes from the ground. You can see that this rusted iron chest has been lodged underneath one of this gnarled roots. You see that there is a parchment on one side that has essentially been stabbed into the tree itself. Baldra and Scud over by the altar, as you get up, talk. Baldra, you wipe yourself down of potential spiders. You can see that there's various inscriptions, maybe various stains on the altar itself. I'll say Cassius and probably Durgak, maybe the two of you, if you're just sort of gazing around, looking at the city. As the mist swirls, you notice a few things in the distance. They're starting to become clearer. Over to the north, that you can see as the rocky coast kind of extends. You see that there is a rickety pier. You can see there's a slit jetty, and you see these explosions of water coming up from the jetty. You see a lighthouse as well. No light at the very top of it, but the structure is there. You can see from where you're standing, the two of you can see in the pasture. You have a very wonderful view of that overgrown pasture. You can see that there's a figure just walking through the high grass. But as you're watching, you can see that there are these other shapes that are kind of slowly converging, almost stalking on it. Hard to tell exactly what it is from where you're at. And you also notice that there is an entranceway into the city. You would normally expect to see large gates, and likely there once was, but it looks as though the entranceway has crumbled and there's just this wide opening maw. And you see these peddler carts just wheeling themselves in. You don't see any horses. You don't see anyone pulling them. It's just the carts themselves slowly rolling into the city.
Reading. We have things to read. Who wants to read? I'm going to read.
Scud can read.
Great.
Okay.
What's chest? Paper, chest. What does it say?
Scud only reads in dirt. And he starts drawing in the dirt. And he'll spell out bugs.
That's
Okay.
great. That's so helpful.
That says Scud.
Okay. I will come read for you.
Scud
Okay.
can read.
Are you looking at the parchment? Is that what you're talking about reading, Baldra? Is that what you're looking at?
Yes, I will read. It's stabbed in the tree.
So you see this massive iron nail. It's the size of your forearm. It's almost like it's like a railroad spike almost, just stabbed into the tree to the point where you can't even retrieve the nail. You just have to rip the parchment to get it down. And you can see it's a hastily drawn map of some kind. And it marks out what looks like parts of the city, this pasture area that's almost gridded in some degrees. And it almost looks like a tic-tac-toe map with various X's and circles. You can see the city is somewhat similar. And you also notice that there are X's over several locations here and there. As it looks like there's these weaving network, like a network of roads or cobblestone paths that are within the walled portion of the city. When you flip it over, Baldra, you see that there is a very long list of names. It's got to be at least 50. And most of them have been crossed out. But you see that there are 3 that haven't. One of them is Estrella Yellowfog. One is the 47th Cane. And one is Lucian, but in parentheses next to his name, when the wind is right. Baldra, as you're looking at this, you realize it's your handwriting.
So I wrote this. There's a map. Interesting. Some names of some people. There's 3 left that I presume we need to interview, speak to, shake down. I didn't specify. I should do that next time. Apologies.
Scud can shake people.
Don't. Yes. We'll announce when it's time.
What about the names that were already crossed off?
I don't know.
Are any of them? None of them are our names, right? I don't want my name on the list.
I crossed them out very vigorously. I can't really read them now.
That is much less useful as a clue. Then, are any of the X's on the map where we are now?
No, there is a circle drawn, and it just says tree within the circle in the section of the map where you're standing. So you can see a circle. There's a kind of a northeasternly moving coastline that goes up to the lighthouse, the pier, and the jetty. And then you can see off to the northwest of that is the city, sort of in a trapezoidal-like shape. And then southwest of the city, you can see the pasture just sort of extends.
Okay. Well, we got a map at least. We have stuff to do. And Baldra is gonna wander back over to the altar thing, and eventually she's gonna check that out unless someone else wants to do anything.
There's a strange figure in the fields walking towards us, and then there's other things too. We maybe don't want to stay here too long.
That's probably a good idea. Let's check this out real quick. Someone check the chest.
Scud looks down.
Not yours. That one. But you can probably open it.
Yeah, use your
Scud
muscles.
can open anything.
Do it.
Scud, give me a strength test as you try to yank the chest out from under where it's wedged into this gnarled root.
Did you roll a 1?
I got a critical failure.
You did?
Nat 20.
Okay.
Oh no.
Your
So-
bicep burst.
So, first of oh my God.
I mean, I'm
that's
sorry.
Awful. But a great idea. Let's do
First
that.
roll.
Okay, so when you roll a critical fail, in this game it's a natural 20. Natural 20 is bad, natural 1 is good. You have to immediately roll your doom die. So Scud, go ahead and roll your doom die. And we'll see, and let me know how you do.
Got a 4.
Okay, you're fine. So a 1 or 2 would cause a deplete, so you're okay in this case. But what you guys watch happen is Scud is like, and then it looks he like braces his leg against the root or the trunk, and he's just pulling, he's turning bright red, and at long last he just gives it one huge terrible yank, and he loses control of it as it does break free, and you see the chest go just hurtling like a mile through the air. And let me see which direction it goes. In the direction of the pasture. You just see it goes, and it's a good 100, 200 feet that thing went. And since the elevation, you just hear a smash and a tumble, and you lose sight of it as it disappears into the mist.
Why? That's what
Scud can
the
throw.
thing was. Why? Just because you can doesn't mean that you just should.
Scud does what Scud does.
Should we like go
Okay.
get it or something? Like, was there something important in it?
There might be something important in there.
Okay. I'll go get it. I'll go get it. Fine.
Isn't that where the person is running?
Yes, and that's why I'm gonna do it quickly.
So
I'll go with you.
when you look down, you see that the figure has changed directions, and they're kind of moving more southwardly. Like they're just sort of moving in the path. I bet they're not coming towards you so much, but you still see they're still being kind of flanked, and those other those other kind of shadowed masses seem to be getting closer. And all of this is in high grass. It's hard to kind of see, but you can see the shadows of the movement. So they've sort of veered and gone a different direction, but whatever's stalking them has gotten closer and closer at this point. So who's doing what?
He's gonna go get the treasure, whatever it was.
Okay.
Mark will go along.
Okay.
Yeah, Durgak will follow.
3 of you are going. What about Scud and
Oh.
Baldra?
I need to finish with this altar, and then
Okay.
I will follow.
All right. So if you're
Scud
looking,
wants the nail in that tree.
okay, another. I want another strength test to pull that out. Let's see how you do.
That's a
Okay.
success. I got a 4 there.
Success. Okay, you do manage to wrench this thing free. As you do, you notice that something starts to pour out of the hole where the spike was. It's this sort of dark maroonish colored liquid that just starts to pour out onto the ground in front of you, starts to pool. It's like this never-ending faucet. And it's some kind, you're not sure if it's like blood or syrup or some combination of the two, but it's just extraordinarily viscous. And then it's just constantly coming, and there doesn't seem to be any signs of it actually stopping. And it's just filling the ground. But you do have a spike in your hand, which you can treat basically like a dagger.
Scud tries to stop the hole, just putting his hand over it.
You put your hand over top of it, and it's very sticky, but at the same time, you do manage to slow the deluge, but you can still see some of it's now seeping out from under and over top of your hand.
Scud will stay here.
Okay. For the rest of the adventure. Okay. Baldra, you take a look at the altar you were saying.
Yes.
I'll tell you what, roll an int test.
Okay. Let me mute. This is my big dice.
Oh, she's rolling like you're rolling the big
The boulder.
boulders from
Yeah.
Norse Foundry. Nice.
I got a
Nice.
5.
I'm older here too.
All right, a 5 will be a success. So you have, when you take a look at it, it's in a language different than the one that was on the parchment where you saw names and various descriptions of folks and things. This is some sort of language. You have the sense that it's archaic. You're not exactly sure how you know it, but you do. And it is essentially, it's an offering. It's like some sort of ritual chant offering to an unnamed god of time and space. It's just a place to do some sort of ritual. You see over top of the plinth and dripping down the sides, there's plenty of stained sections that have gone brown over top of the sort of the blue-gray slate stone that you would probably conclude as blood. So it looks like some sort of ritual altar.
Interesting. We may need this later.
Okay. So the two of you, so Scud's going to stay behind by himself, and the other four start going down the hill. Thanks for playing, Stephen. You can go ahead and leave Zoom now. All right.
Bye, David.
So
You can get
don't
two
leave
long
Zoom.
rests.
Don't you dare.
No.
You son of a bitch. He just,
God, put the nail back.
son of a bitch. Okay.
Put the nail back.
Okay. So the rest of you start descending the hill. And
If he was really strong, he could put the nail in even deeper than it was before.
that is true.
Scud would get bored and see everyone leave and just walk away, trying to make sure no one sees him that he ruined the tree.
Okay. I'm pretty sure Baldra was the only one who saw you. So you wander away. You're covered in whatever goo this is. This dark reddish goo. Syrup, blood, you're not sure. And it's all over your arms and hands, your shoes, whatever it is you're wearing. Maybe even your shorts. Who knows? But you have the railroad spike. That, again, you can just treat it as a dagger. And you start descending the hill. The rest of you got a little bit of a head start. And you start moving down. And at a certain point, the mist begins to swirl a bit, kind of look back up, and you actually can't even see the tree anymore. And as you're sliding down the hill a bit, it becomes very slippery. Eventually, your feet hit these uneven cobblestones. And you look down and you see that there is a old and very poorly kept road, not much maintenance whatsoever. You can see little chunks and tufts of like moss and grass coming up from between weeds here and there. And you notice that on the ground, the chest that was up at the top has been shattered into 1,000 pieces. And you can see that scattered all around, it just chunks of wood, but also chunks of metal, as if the metal itself ripped apart in pieces, just like the wood would have. That is what you find.
I want to take a second to analyze some of the metal. See if it reacts to any of the charges I use for any of my own devices. This seems unusual. I don't know.
Yeah, you pick up some of the bits of metal. I test it with some of your tools or devices or whatever you might have. And as you hold it up, you can see in your hand that it starts to wiggle. It kind of move a little bit back and forth as if it's like a blade of grass and wind.
Moving. The metal's moving.
Are you sure it's not like your hand or something?
Excellent point. I should set it down on a neutral surface and observe without bias. I sit it on the ground and then lay down on the ground next to it and I watch it.
Okay. You're laying down on the ground.
Yes, I set the metal down on the ground and I lay it on the ground so I can watch it. I want to make sure it wasn't my own hand moving it to make my brain be confused. I'm not confused. I'm scientific.
As you lay down on the ground, well, first of all, you can confirm that it is in fact very slightly wiggling on its own. But you also feel tremors, very faint tremors coming up out of the cobblestone that when you just were standing, you didn't really feel them. As you're laying on your stomach, you can kind of feel this small, little tiny bump as the cobblestone almost seems to be slightly undulating.
Okay, well, on one hand, I thought it was moving, but also the ground underneath us is also moving. So maybe that's making it look like it's moving. Still inconclusive.
What did you sniff up your nose earlier?
It's just just some mandrake root. No big deal.
I need to look at this again. I'll lay down.
Just lay down on the ground. You'll feel
And
it.
you can confirm everything that Cassius has said. Durgak and Baldra, I'm going to say, meanwhile, while the two of them are laying on the ground looking at this tiny piece of wiggling metal, the two of you, and we'll say Scud comes down at this point, you look a little further to the west on the other side of this cobblestone road. You can see that the pasture begins to unfurl. And as I said before, it's overgrown. So you can see that there's this kind of yellow-green grass that's probably about waist high on almost everybody. But you also see that there are these darker lines, these hedgerows that are about head high or maybe even taller here and there. And then you can see peeking up from behind them every so often, weaving between the mist here and there, are these jagged chunks of rock where on one side they appear as smooth as can be. And on the other side, they're jagged, almost like the broken comb teeth, every few snapped off. And those are about 15 feet tall here and there. And you no longer have the angle anymore to see the sort of bird's eye view of the figures shifting around in the pasture grass.
Scud, can you give me a boost so I can see if I can still see those people?
Scud can boost.
Okay, you look out and you can't see. Well, actually, can you see? So and Scud's pretty tall, right?
Scud is big.
Scud does
has
not obey
muscles.
gravity. Yeah.
So as Valdra, you climb on top of Scud on his shoulders. Scud, you stand up straight. And Valdra, you can't necessarily see any movement. You don't see the person. You don't see the whatever was stalking them. You do, however, see what looks like the ruins of a cottage that's kind of sunken inward, almost deflated, and kind of like a bounce house style deflate. That's up ahead on the other side of this hedgerow that's kind of flanking the side of the cobblestone road. But that is what you see.
I don't remember why we didn't want to come over here, but there's a cottage we could check out.
What makes the cottage so interesting? There's wiggling metal on the ground, apparently.
It's like sinking.
Yeah. If the subterranean aqueduct has collapsed, then the building is going to fall with it.
Those are rather large words for you, Durgak.
Don't make assumptions.
Well, if the Cassius, this bendy metals thing is very interesting, but if that house is going under the ground, there might be things that we could gather from it before it goes underground.
There could be more wiggly metals.
I mean, if the metal has properties that allow it to move on its own, think of the. I mean, just what could you do with that? Right?
What if you could make another bird?
There is
But-
no
but-
one like Nigel.
No. Don't
A
make my
baby
no.
bird.
No, nothing's like Nigel. Nothing's like Nigel. But what if Nigel or something? Maybe Nigel needs a sister. What if there was what if it could change its form because the metal can move?
Yeah, you
What
can
if-
make like a metal worm, and then Nigel would have like a prey to hunt.
It's a balance,
could-
right? Prey and hunter. This is perfect.
I could
Delightful.
put that in a show. That would be what a delightful idea. So we're off to the cottage then. Yes. Cassius, take the metal. Put it in your pocket.
Scud eats birds.
That's
That is why Scud is such a strong man. And she slapped his shoulder as she scuttles back down.
Okay.
Scud, do you defeather them before you eat them?
Scud does
Why-
not cook.
why would you
Oh.
waste the nutrients? I mean, they're just, or do you come from a place where you could just waste food like that? You throw away the feathers? I mean, there's fiber. There's you would just waste the feathers?
No, we use them as quills.
Scud eats
Oh.
quail.
I don't know that bird, but I'm sure it's interesting. I only eat peacocks. Let's go.
Okay, so you're heading over to that cottage.
Mhm.
Everybody make a strength test as you try to push through the hedgerow here.
Oh, I like it. I can push through the stuff.
Okay.
Scud failed.
Jeff, what's an
1 for
11?
3 on strength tests. What's
Am
that?
I stronger than
An
Scud?
11.
It's equal to, or excuse me, it's underneath your target. Like, so what's your
Okay, it's over
strength
my
score?
target.
So that's a fail.
But it's a
Okay.
double number.
No, that's okay.
Okay.
Yeah, it's got, that's not this game. You might be thinking of Delta Green. We're doing that in a couple weeks. That's
Oh,
where the
shit.
devil's
Okay,
playing.
yeah.
Yeah.
I've been reading
roll
too many
the
rules.
roll the 1 for Lark.
Okay. Is Durgak the only one who passed? Oh, no, Lark, you gotta, no, it's a critical success. Okay, critical success. Okay. Lark, you can pick between Cassius, Scud, and Baldra. You see one of them kind of getting caught up. It's a very thick hedgerow as all of you are pushing through, and you can feel that there's like things resisting you. And Lark, I'll say with your critical success, you can grab one other person and pull them with you. Who will it be? Cassius, Baldra, or Scud?
Scud poses.
I feel like Stephen would be upset if I like outstrength the Scud on this. So I'm gonna go Baldra.
You already know Scud's going to claim your victory as his own.
Yes. Yes.
So, Baldra, you are stuck, and you actually feel yourself almost becoming immobile. Like your legs are like, you can't really see very well once you start pushing through the hedgerow here. And you can feel things start to wrap around like your shins and your arms. Then something grabs your hand and just yanks, and your shoulder nearly comes out of its socket. But then suddenly you're free, and you can see there's Lark on the other end. She has your hand. Standing behind her is Durgak. The three of you are through. You're into this zone, this plot of land where that sort of deflated looking cottage is. There's still very high grass. If you look back and you see that Cassius and Scud are not here. You can see this large wall of vegetation shaking here and there, but you do not see Cassius or Scud.
Thank you, Lark. Cassius and Scud are still inside.
Oh,
Durgak be able to bastardize his herbalist background to try and do something to this hedgerow to get them through?
That sounds great. Roll an int test.
Okay.
Say. Does that sound good?
Yeah.
All right.
Oh, this is like a like juniper tree that's shaped like a plant or something. I don't know. I'm not a botanist.
Okay. So you figure out some way to unwind or unweave like some of the vegetation, and you can see Scud and Cassius kind of flailing around as they're stuck within. And you reach out now that you start to unravel some of the vines, some of the branches, and you pull them through, and they just basically pop right out. But you also notice as they start rolling around on the ground that hooked around them, when you look down at your arms, or excuse me, when you look down at your chest, Cassius and Scud, as you're stumbling around, and those of you who are standing still as Durgak pulled them through, you see that there are skeletons that have wrapped themselves around Cassius and Scud, and they are reaching back with this sort of rusted blade and are trying to stab down into their necks. Let's go ahead and roll quick initiative here. So, as there are now two skeletons in the back of Scud and Cassius. All right, so initiative really fast as we do this. Let's do this really, really quick. So initiative in this game, what you do, let me pull this up. What is it? Like
a wisdom check?
You roll a wisdom test, and if you pass, you go before the enemies, and if you fail, you go after. That's the deal.
Scud has advantage.
Oh no.
success.
These bone creatures aren't made of plants, so I don't know what they are.
Scud passes.
Okay. So Scud and Lark are going beforehand. What about the rest of you?
Nope.
Durgak failed.
So Cassius and Durgak, you go after. And then Baldra, you're going to go first. So Baldra, Scud, and Lark, the two of you get to go and do something before these skeletal creatures stab down into the necks of Scud and Cassius. Any order's fine. So in the game, the rules as written is like it's clockwise, but we don't sit clockwise. So whatever order is fine. So Lark, Scud, or Baldra, one of you can go first. What are you doing?
Scud is angry. Scud will nail the skeleton.
Okay. These are level 3, so you don't have to worry about any kind of difficulty. So just roll your normal. And so you're using a strength test?
Yes, Scud passes.
Perfect. Okay, so go ahead and roll your damage.
5.
Okay, so 5 damage. So describe how it looks when you attack them.
Skeleton is wrapped around Scud. First thing Scud does is flex. His muscles bulge, so the skeleton breaks the grip. Then he turns around and hammers it with the nail.
Fantastic. So you jam the railway spike right into their head, but you just hear as they have not actually gone down yet. Lark or Baldra?
So on Lark's left hand, you might not have noticed this before, but she actually has a cestus on her left hand. And so she is going to just kind of like wind up with her left hand and just attack this skeleton.
Are you going for the one that is currently on the back of Scud or currently on the back of Cassius? Which one do you prefer?
I am going for the one that's on the back of Cassius.
Okay, so you go up to Scud. Scud, I'm assuming you attack the one that was on your back, right? Okay. Go ahead, Lark.
That is that's a fail. I have a
okay.
Wait, sorry.
Remember, it has to be under.
Melee is strength.
Melee
right?
is strength. Range is dex.
Yeah. Failed by 1.
Okay. So you swing out, but Cassius, maybe in his panic, is twisting and turning and stuff like that. And in doing so, you just happen to duck out of the way.
Stand still there. Stand still.
And you just hear,
He's trying to stab me. You stand still.
And then we'll go to Baldra. Baldra, your turn.
So I want to add an effect to my attack.
Okay. So
I want to attempt to break the weapon.
Okay, so you want to try to break the
or
the
like
scimitar that they're
disarm
wearing.
them. Yeah, more than anything.
Okay, so in this game, so just to sort of go over the rules really fast, whenever you make an attack, before you make your attack test, you can try to add an effect to it, and there's a whole list of them. And so Ashley, you're specifically trying to do disarm.
Yes.
And so if you do that, so disarm means no damage, but you disarm the target if you're successful. It does mean you have to roll your doom die. So go ahead and roll that, which I believe is a D6.
Okay. What do I not want on my
You don't want a
D6?
1 or a 2. Those are bad.
Oh God. Okay.
Belated thank you
I
to
got
Steam
a
Steel
4.
Murderer for the raid. Thank you very much, Bert. Yeah, this is our first Black Sword hack game. Really like the Ultimate Chaos Edition. I got my Kickstarter like a month or so ago, so I've been waiting to play. How are we doing, Ashley? What do we do?
4.
Okay, so you're fine on your doom die. So now go ahead and roll your strength test, because you're trying to go up. You're trying to like whack it, knock the knife out of the hand, right?
Yep.
Okay, go for it.
I got a 10 and I am a 10 on my strength.
That is a fail. You need to go under.
Okay.
So you swing away. You're trying to like grab or smash at the arm that has the scimitar, but you are unable to do so.
I'm trying to get the one on Scud, and Scud's already way too tall for me to begin with. And this creature, the skeleton she's just kind of jumping ineffectually trying to get it.
Okay. He's just so damn tall. Okay. So both of these, I said that they had weapons, they had blades in their hand, and they were stabbing down at the necks of Cassius and Scud. And so that is exactly what I'm going to do. Now, in this game, the GM doesn't roll attacks. Players roll to defend. So you can choose either to try to dodge it, which would be a dex test. And so that means moving your head around or whatever it might be. Or you can choose to try to parry. If you have something in your hands, like a weapon or a shield, that can parry. You can't parry without anything in your hands. So both of you, go ahead and roll that test when you're ready, as they're both hacking away, stabbing away. The one that's on Scud is trying to get pulled down, the weapon trying to get taken out. Lark is whacking away on the one that's on Cassius, but they're still trying to get their stabs off.
I don't imagine shield is out just yet, so I'll just do Dex.
Fair enough.
To wiggle
Parry
away.
is strength.
Parry is strength. So you're trying to wiggle out from the way of it. Yeah.
Scud rolls a lot of 17s.
Okay, so Cassius, you succeed, and I'm going to say in the process of you succeeding, you pry it off, like you dodge, move its head around as it swings, tries to stab you. You like pull your head back ever so slightly. The bladed weapon it has goes down in front of you, and it kind of tumbles off of you, gets its footing, but is no longer on your back, but is standing in front of you. You can see that it's decayed. You don't see any flesh or anything. It's just a pure skeleton and a couple bits of equipment here and there, like a former soldier at some point. Scud, you failed. Is that correct?
Scud failed.
Scud, you take 6 points of damage as this curved blade just barely misses getting plunged into your neck, but instead scrapes across the front of your chest, and you have this gash right underneath the nape of your neck. We turn to Cassius and Durgak now. You two can now go. What would you like to do? Oh, maybe I should probably explain combat too, by the way. So combat, you basically get 2 actions every round. Like whenever your turn comes up, you can you can do movement, you can do attack, you can do a gift or an ability, etc., or just describe what it is you want to do and we figure it out. Usually a skill test, right? Movement is fine. Like there's range bands in the game. Now there's one little quirk. If you want to do the same action twice on the same turn, so if you want to like attack twice, before you roll those checks, you have to roll your doom die, and then you would roll your attack. So like the idea is that you're pushing. It's basically you push your luck. That's a doom die mechanic.
Mm-hmm.
All right. So Cassius or Durgak, in whatever order, go right ahead.
Okay. So first, I pull out my gladius and I stab the one that tried to stab me. Fortunately, I'm a swordsman, so that's a dexterity check.
Yep. There's certain gifts. There's certain backgrounds that change some of the basic rules, and so in this case, he can roll his dex.
It's just 3 damage.
Okay, still very good. 3 points of damage. So you managed to take. Okay, so you lunge out. Do you get your shield out as well? Do you have everything out now, or you've got sword and shield out now? Okay, so you've got sword and shield. You're now in a controlled state. You slash out, and you can feel a bit of the bone. It just kind of cracks as you slash through it, and you can see chunks of the rib cage just fall down. It looks down at it, even though it has no eyes, these sunken black empty places, but it almost looks down at the rib cage, looks back up at you, and then just like this.
I look over at Scud. He did it.
And we'll go to Durgak. What do you want to do?
So Scud still has a skeleton on his back, correct?
That is correct. He unfortunately did not manage to get it off.
Okay. Durgak either wants to suplex both Scud and the skeleton, with the skeleton taking the damage of the floor, or Durgak wants to just rip the skeleton off and like yeet it out away, whichever seems more feasible.
So what we can say is that you might be trying to do an attack effect. So if you want to do damage, we can say you're doing an attack effect, maybe like pin down or something that you're trying, or shove. Pin down probably makes more sense because you want to do damage, I would imagine.
Yeah.
Okay. So you're trying to essentially rip them off, throw them to the ground with force. So roll your doom die.
Okay.
You just want to avoid a 1 or a 2.
I did it. I didn't bring a weapon to this fight, guys. I didn't know we were doing this.
Okay. So then go ahead and roll your strength test at this point.
Yeah. I lift a lot of things when I'm working the farm. I did it. I got a 7.
You got a 7. And so you manage to reach out. You yank them off of Scud. Scud, you can feel them no longer wrapped around you. You smash it down to the ground. It is now prone on the ground, and you can roll D4 for the damage that you do to it, Durgak, since you were unarmed.
And as Durgak rips it off of Scud, he'll be like, "Hey man, don't worry, I got your back." And he'll do one damage.
Hey, it's off of it. Okay. So we're going to go to a new round. Now, one other thing I should mention with the Doom die, if at any point, one of the things you can do with Doom, you can call on Doom, which means you can choose, you can opt into rolling your Doom die, and then whatever you roll on it, subtract that from the result of your check, making it easier for you to pass. However, this means you're automatically degrading your Doom die by one step. So that's a way that another thing that you can potentially use for your Doom die. All right, so let's go back up. We got Lark, we got Scud, and we got Baldra. We've got Scud's skeleton has been ripped off his back by Durgak, is on the ground, partially obscured by the high grass. Remember that waist-high grass? You can still see it. There's enough of disruption in the grass. The other one that was on top of Cassius has their footing and is staring down at Cassius right head on. Parts of its ribs have been broken, and it's got this curved sword. So any order, I don't care. Lark, Scud, or Baldra.
Scud throws himself at the one on the ground, just hammering down with the nail again.
Okay. So with, I think with prone, can't remember if it's, trying to remember. I think you might get like advantage on damage or advantage to attack, something like that. So
Scud needs advantage to attack because Scud rolled a 19.
Okay, man, Scud is Scud sounds a little bit like a Mimbo. He's a gym rat, but not necessarily a. I can't remember exactly what prone is. I don't have it in my notes, unfortunately. So we'll say, because I don't have it in my notes, just go ahead and you can roll advantage. So roll a second one, and if it passes, we'll say that. I think that's
Scud
right.
passes.
Okay, so I think it's advantage on melee attacks. All right, so you managed to smash down on the one that just fell. So roll your damage.
Scud does 5 damage.
And what kind of weapon is Scud using?
Railroad spike.
So you're just stabbing away at the with the railroad spike. Okay, fair enough.
Using the blunt end.
This thing is still kicking wildly. Okay. Then
did Scud also get no weapon?
He got weapons.
No, Scud has a spear.
Scud is just being played by Steven, and this is what Steven does. Lark or Baldra? Who would like to go next?
So Lark is going to pull out. So she has an Inquisitor sword that's, kind of been folded in with her pack. And so she is going to kind of like gesture for Cassius to kind of give a wide berth. And so Lark is just going to take this thing out of her back. And she's just going to be like, "You need to stay away from my companions." And she's just going to give a big swing with this two-handed Inquisitor's longsword, which I have no idea how I randomly rolled that.
Go ahead and roll your attacks, so strength to hit. If you roll, if she does hit, because it's a two-handed weapon, she gets to roll her damage at advantage, meaning she gets to roll 2 damage dice, take the higher.
And I want to. I'm sorry, I'm looking at the attack effects real quick.
Yeah.
I'm aiming for brutal.
Okay. So
add the Doom die's result to the damage.
Roll your Doom die.
Rolled a 4.
Okay, so if you hit, you can roll.
If I hit.
You can add 4 to your damage roll, in addition to being able to roll with advantage.
Rolling under 10 because that's my strength.
Guess just under 50% chance to get this.
That's a lolly, which is not what I want to see because that's a 20.
That is a crit fail.
Yes.
All right, roll your Doom die again because crit fail always results in that.
3.
Okay, and we're gonna say I think doesn't your weapon break if you crit fail? Isn't that right? Stephen, you were just looking stuff up. Did you see that?
I'm close. Crit fail means I don't see it for attacking.
No, that's for parry. That's when you're parrying with the shield. It breaks. Okay, so I'm gonna say you go to swing, but as you swing down, your grip is a little loose, and you just basically throw the sword, and it just goes end over end, flying through the air, and then sticks at the base of one of those big rocky outcroppings, like a good 20, 30 feet away, completely over top of the head of the skeleton, who even turns to look. And then if a skeletal head could look confused, that is what this skeleton head is doing. All right.
Ah, damn it.
And then Baldra, I think you still have to go.
Yeah. Why don't we have some fun? I'm gonna attempt a flurry attack.
All right. So Flurry is doing regular damage. If she's successful, roll your Doom die again. And then
5.
Okay, so you're fine there. If you're successful, you do regular damage, but then you get an immediate second attack. So still got to hit.
And I'm using my hunting sickle.
Okay.
Or my blood metal sickle.
And are you attacking the one that Sigurd is attacking, or are you attacking the one that Lark just completely tried to throw an Inquisitor sword at?
The one on Scud.
Okay.
Ones are good, right?
Ones are a crit
Ones
success.
are very good.
Okay, so first let's do your damage, because when you get a critical success on an attack, not only does it mean you do maximum damage, which in this case is a d6, so a 6 on a d6, but you roll another damage die and add it. So go ahead and roll a d6.
Ooh, okay. I got a 5.
Okay, so that means it's a total of an 11 damage because you add them together. So 6 is the max on a d6 plus your crit die, like equals 11. Go ahead and describe how you shatter this skeleton.
So she's got like a hooked blood metal sickle. So she just kind of like gets it whipped around its like neck, and she just kind of beheads the thing.
Okay.
And then as it falls, she kind of like jauntily kicks the skull, and then puts her hand on her hip. Like, it wasn't that hard, guys.
And I'm going to say, even though this one died, I'll let you take your second attack on the other one at this point, as everything's fairly close. So you can turn around, because you did spend the Doom die. You did risk that. So go ahead and make your second attack on that one instead.
We got a 7, and that hits.
Okay. Roll your damage die. So it's a d6 on this one.
2.
Okay. Hey, that's an amazing turn. You killed one with 11 points of damage, and then you still did damage to the other one. This one's still up, but as it's staring quizzically at Lark after having an Inquisitor sword thrown at it, you take advantage of that momentary hesitation, and you just swing around with your blood metal sickle.
Can the damage be when I kick the skull? It just gets hit with the skull.
Yeah, you just soccer kick the skull, and so
Very
they just bang the two skulls into their head. I love it. All right, so that skeleton will now get to go. Has a couple options to attack at this point. Cassius, Lark, and Baldra, I think, are all in decent range. Let me see who's going to...
God, I'll bang my sword against the shield. Hey!
You know what? If that's the case, it'll attack Cassius. So Cassius,
Oh,
it comes
God,
at you.
what am I doing? Jesus!
Go ahead and roll your defense. In this case, I'm assuming you have your shield out, so you're doing your parry. Yeah, go for it, man. So, and because you have a shield, it means you get to roll.
Swordsman, I'll roll twice. You know, I won't roll twice. I'll just roll the once. Oh God, why am I doing this?
Well, don't forget that shields. If you're railing a shield, you get an advantage on it. So you do roll twice.
I succeeded on the first check. I'll take the first check.
So it comes at you, and you just feel the vibration. As the shield gets pushed back, you see a little tiny piece of the tip of the scimitar, like over top of the shield, as it pushes you back, and then you maybe it's kind of stuck there for a second, but then it yanks the sword back out, stares at it, and stares at you. Cassius and Durgak, then it's your turns.
I would just stab it.
Go right ahead, man.
Okay.
And don't forget, you have 2 actions on your turn, so you can always choose to attack twice, but if you do so, you just have to declare, roll your Doom. There you go.
Okay. Well, let's do that.
Okay, roll that Doom die.
Oh, crit! I rolled a 1.
Okay, on the attack. Okay.
Yeah.
How'd you do on your Doom roll?
Or do I need to roll a Doom dice?
Oh, did you say you were attacking twice? I'm sorry, I misunderstood.
No, I just did a regular attack.
Okay, yeah. If you
can do
crit,
2 different things, so I have another idea in case this doesn't finish it.
Well, let's figure out the damage first. So you got a D6. So roll that and add it to your max score. Is the Gladius 2-handed?
No, it's just single-handed.
Okay. All right,
So
you do-
6 + 1, 7.
So 7 points of damage is not enough to take it out, but it is getting pretty rickety at this point. As you see, bits and pieces of the bones have fallen out. It's standing very limply at this point, but it is still
Okay.
up, jaw chattering.
Yeah, just the herbs or something. With Rabbit Man.
So we look over at Rabbit Man, Durgak. Durgak, what do you want to do here? This thing's almost dead.
Yeah,
Again.
Durgak. Well, he has a a little like not backpack, but like a little satchel on his back that's filled to the brim with unidentified objects, and he's just going to take it and just swing it right at the skeleton.
Okay, go ahead and roll your attack strength.
That's a success.
Success. Durgak's a machine. All right, let's roll damage. D4.
Yep.
Okay.
That's 2 damage.
Describe how you take this one out. That is
So he's just going to swing the backpack, like he's pulling it off his shoulder, and he's just going to swing it overhead and just knock the skull down through the rib cage and out the pelvis.
and you see as it gets like almost like a plinko from Price is Right, ding, 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 and then pops out the bottom. That skeleton collapses. There's 2 piles of bones in the ground. Lark, your sword is 30 feet away at the base of one of these outcroppings. You can see there's 2 scimitars on the ground. If anybody wanted to pick up scimitars, they're not in the greatest condition, but they're still there. That's all that is obvious. And in the distance, in this plot that's framed by these tall hedges, you can see there is that deflated cottage out in the direction. What do you guys want to do?
Durgak is going to take the rescuer of the 2 scimitars and be like, "Oh, cool! Can I like keep this or something?"
So check the inventory, the items directory. There should be a scimitar in there you can drag over.
Lark's going to turn to Cassie and just say, "Oh, dear boy, I am so glad you ducked. You saw the look and you moved. I'm so glad you did. I am sorry I did not actually attack the pile of bones that was attacking you."
It was a great distraction. Everything worked out fine. Things fine. Rabbit Man, do you still have some of those herbs? I think I had a bad batch. I think I snorted bad herbs.
I have smelling salts if you would like some.
You realize you didn't actually give him salt. You just gave him like some gravel off the ground.
Some dirt.
Just random white dirt, chalk.
You missed her grinding up a bone. She just gave you bone dust.
Okay.
So Lark is over kind of regathering her sword. So
Sure.
she's going to take a look at these things while she's gathering her sword.
Yeah. So again, on one side, it's like you see these jagged, large, like almost like comb teeth sticking out. And the other side is very smooth. The portion to the inside, so is where the jagged portion is. The smooth side is essentially right up against one of those tall hedges. When you get close, you notice that your sword had hit one of those teeth, those jagged portions sticking out, and you do see a chunk of it has fallen. And you can see something glinting underneath the stone where that chunk fell out from where you're like there's something buried or encased in the stone where one of the teeth comes out.
Without hesitation, Lark is going to grab and pick it up and look at it.
No, like the tooth is connected still these horizontal jaggeds,
okay.
but you can see a chunk has been broken off from where your sword hit it. And in that chunk, through that chunk, you can see a little glint of metal.
Lark is going to stick her finger.
You reach your finger in, and it is very much metal, and it remains to be so.
Scud, I could use those muscles of yours, I think.
Scud looks down at the gash on his chest. Are Scud's muscles ruined?
No, you
Um,
have to break them to build them up.
Can I use my herbalist ability to heal Scud? Let's see. I can create D6 doses of healing bombs that restore HP.
Sure. Roll a d6. Let's see how many you
All
made.
right.
While he's doing that, I would help Lark.
Absolutely.
Ooh, that's 4 doses.
So you have 4 doses. Does it say how much it restores?
Yeah, it's D6 plus level. So, do I roll another D6 to see for each one then?
So yeah, we'll say as Scud is helping Lark. And Scud, how are you helping Lark? Or what exactly are you doing as you're helping?
Scud breaks teeth.
Okay, so you start breaking the stone over the teeth, and then Durgak is just massaging the bomb into your chest. Is basically what's happening.
Scud likes being oiled.
Scud, you can take 4 points of healing back, as it was a 1 plus your level 3, so you get 4 points of healing back. Okay, so as you continue to break, you realize that it's very easy to break. In fact, almost like it's not so much stone as it's like it's almost like a rough encasing. It's like something's been built up over time. And once you manage to get the teeth, you realize there's just this long, slender needle that seems to be maybe about 5 feet long, maybe a little less, sticking out of the vertical portion. Do the next one, same thing. Next one. And each one of these teeth, and there's probably about 6 or 7 of them, and again, all of this goes about 15 feet high, are all these tiny, very slender needles that seem to be piercing into that column of rock itself.
Scud, can you pull them out?
Scud can do anything.
Okay, well, let's roll a strength test. Let's put your money where your mouth is. Roll a strength test. Come on, Scud, you got this.
Scud rolled an 18.
Okay, so Scud, you're able to do it. You're absolutely able to do it, but it's going to be success with failure, with a setback or a complication of some kind. And it's going to be, it doesn't look pretty. It doesn't look as good as you would hope. But you start to pull them out. One by one, you're pulling out all the needles that you can reach. And as you do so, at a certain point, one of them catches, and it's very hard, and you're pulling, and then eventually you yank it free, and a big patch of that outcropping pulls free with it. And there's now, we'll say, about a head size, so maybe like a 12-inch diameter chunk missing from the outcropping, the big column. And underneath it, maybe 3 inches deep, it looks like this sort of grayish, tannish material with these little fissures whirling around in it.
Is that also moving? Is everything here moving?
Nothing seems to be moving. They're just these stationary fissures that are just sort of weaving around in these different patterns.
Can I take a step back and see if I can, like
can't really
intelligence or something just to see?
Okay, if you want to roll an intelligence, you can roll an intelligence. Yeah, go for that. But it's only a small chunk of a 15-foot tall column, basically.
No, that's 19.
Yeah, hard to say exactly what it is. Maybe leather. Maybe, but you're not. You don't feel it until you get until you can see more of it. You're not sure.
Scud, I think maybe, and so she's got the cestus, so she's going to kind of go next to Scud and just try to move this along.
So I'll say if you start hacking away at it, if Scud does it, if anybody else wants to help, eventually you start hacking, and it takes a couple minutes, and much like the teeth, everything starts to crumble. It's not this hard granite. It's almost like something's been like machete, like paper mache, like over top of it in a way. And you peel it away, and when all is said and done, you have about, let's say, 7 feet of it, like half of it. So the top part of it is still covered, but the bottom half you see. And you realize what you're looking at is half of a massive finger and you can see the swirls are these tiny little, like the whirls of a fingerprint or of the tiny little fissures like in a skin. And you can see at the very base, maybe a couple feet up, the first like of the crinkles of where the inside of a knuckle might be.
This is huge. It's a finger.
Did we like stumble across a giant or something? Do those exist?
They might. But what were the needles, do we think? The needles in the fingers?
You do see
Yeah,
these
it's like-
tiny pricks, by the way, these tiny little pinpricks here, where it's not
I'm gonna
actively
see-
bleeding.
I'm going to take. This is dumb, but I wonder, is this thing alive? And I'm going to take out my helmet. It's got a monocle attached, and there's a little lamprey in it that I shove a crystal into its stomach, and then I put a wire into it and I jolt it, and then the lamprey pulls my eyelid open, sprays poison in my eye, and then shines a beam into my eye as I look into it to see if there's any blood pumping through this finger.
Scud does
can-
not like that.
Yeah, as you look in, your eye burning, you do slowly see as the outer dermis begins to become translucent, and then the underlayer of the skin becomes more translucent. The tissue begins to become translucent, and you start to see these little veins, and you see very, very slowly, almost begrudgingly, you do see bits of presumably blood very slowly coursing up and down through the finger.
It's not alive, but it's there. There's blood in it. It's alive. It's alive.
All right. Don't cry too loud. You might wake it up, and I don't know if we can fight a giant hand.
I'm sorry. It hurts so much when I do this.
You always take such an interesting approach to your inventions there, Cassius.
I have limited supplies where I'm from. I do what I can with what I can.
What? And Lark's going to look back at the cottage, because wasn't like the cottage like sinking?
It's still there. It's not sinking as much as it's deflated. Like it looks very similar to like a bounce house that has been deflated. It's just got this almost like a melted quality to it. It's in, it's in terrible condition, as if it's not so much like an implosion, but it does have this weird melting like effect to it.
Speaking of the cottage, Baldra's still there. She didn't leave. So she's standing there and
no one's ever
yells.
gone to the cottage yet. That was on the far side of the zone. So no one's actually gone over there yet.
So she's just where we had combat at then. So she's trucking towards the cottage.
Yeah, no problem at all. You're moving through the high grass, and yeah, you get to the edge of, it's a very old cottage. You can see that at some point it was probably made out of bits of brick, like this rough brick, but also these beams of wood here and there. It had some kind of roofing tiles. All of it has collapsed into each other. You can even see that there were windows at some point too, but they were just openings. It wasn't glass as it was just shutters. But as you're standing here, Baldra, like there's no straight line anywhere. Everything is just sort of contoured. Like every straight line appears as though it's just kind of withered in some way. You can also roll an int test while you're standing here if you like, or you can tell me what it is you'd like to do as well.
I rolled an int. I got a 3. Okay.
Cassius, were you gonna roll? This is really just sort of looking at it, deducing something, seeing if there's something not, if you're doing something like you don't like. Usually in this game, there's no real perception test. It's just if you're looking for something, you see it. But in some cases, if you don't know what you're looking for, I'm just gonna call for an int test. Okay, so both Baldra and then Cassius, if you come over with your strange device still and functioning. I'll say Cassius, with your kind of translucents, you're seeing through walls. You see that there is a large hole in the ground over top which this deflated house seems to be over top of. And Baldra, if you're sort of poking at this, you realize that not only is there no right angle anywhere, everything is sort of soggy in a way. Maybe that's not the right word, but it has like a give to it.
Does it feel
like a
fleshy?
Mattress. No, it doesn't feel like flesh. No, it's certainly like even just putting your finger on it and kind of pushing and you can even a little bit kind of breaks off in some way. And since you succeeded at an int test, it has like a fungal quality to it, right? It has that give like a mushroom might have, but if you want, you can kind of break it at the same time. It's kind of that feel to it.
Okay. Baldra has a lantern, so she's gonna pull that out and like look in through a window.
And you can kind of weave in a bit here and there, but at the same time, Cassius has already found the thing, which, and I would say, Baldra, as you're peering in, you can see the big hole in the ground too.
Oh.
I know that there are spiders that live in ground holes.
So she's not gonna check that out solo. She's gonna track back to the rest of the group, unless Cassius is here with her.
What do you want?
Do we go in the hole? Why are you crying?
Because the lamprey spits poison in my eye and it hurts really bad.
Oh.
But it's effective. Yeah, let's go in the hole. Why not? What's the worst that could happen?
I mean, we do have our list with our map.
Is this area on the map?
Yeah, your map has 3 big sections. It had the coast with the lighthouse and the pier. It had the city, and it has the pasture, and it has almost like it has like these tic-tac-toe lines, these grid lines that are marking out various zones. So yeah, I mean, this is on here.
Are there any markings on here in the zone, like on the map, or no?
There's nothing. There's no more detail than like circles and X's. Like it's really very simple. Like you're not even sure exactly what the pattern means, but you see circles and X's basically.
Remind me, if I ever make a map again, I really need to make a key with notes. I don't know what I was thinking.
I mean, none of us
Scud can
know why
read.
we're here.
Yes. Scud, we found a hole.
Scud has rope.
Should we go? What do you guys think?
I mean, is the king like in the hole? I'm just trying to get my land back, and you all seem like you're like the real adventuring type, and that's cool, but like I'm just trying to chill, you know?
Yeah, so you see, when there is something that you want, you can often get that by doing something for someone else ahead of time. And then you say, "Hello, glorious king. I have rid your pasture of evils, and in return, I'd like my farm back. Please and thank you."
Yes, my mom says it's blackmail. I love having blackmail. It's great.
Or sometimes you just live in a horrible place where there's a terrible ice queen, and you were born on the day that your dad killed the king, and then your whole family gets murdered, and you spend your whole life as an orphan, and it's great.
Oh,
Scud likes
that's
mail.
a lot to
It's
take.
a fun surprise.
That's a lot to take in, but I guess blackmail sounds cool. I don't want to be an orphan. Can like dudes be orphans once? I'm kind of old, you know?
Oh yeah, eventually we all become orphans because everybody dies, including your parents.
That is true. I couldn't help you accelerate the process. Are your parents alive?
Actually, no. I guess is that what makes you an orphan?
Yeah.
Oh,
Are you already
shit.
one and you did not know?
I had no idea.
There's nothing worse than being an orphan and not realizing you're an orphan. Everybody point and laugh at Durgak.
Oh
It's
man, that's
okay.
not
Points
cool.
less.
Durgak's gonna jump in the hole out of shame. That's not cool,
It's okay.
man.
I got adopted. I didn't know I was an orphan until I was 12.
And Lark just
Durgak
looks to
jumps
Scud,
into the
waiting
hole.
for like the
Yeah,
next
Durgak
like
jumps into the
disclosure
hole.
here.
Mhm.
Cowabunga,
Orphan
yo!
hole, jump in.
Cassius jumps in as
I
well.
think we're all orphans because I got adopted. My
We're all orphans here.
If you're adopted, you're not an orphan because you got adopted.
briefly, she was
You
briefly
have
an
adoptive
You
orphan.
spent
Parents,
time
yeah.
as an orphan.
Yes.
And now
yes.
you got parents. Okay. All right. So Cassius and Durgak both jump into the hole. Lark, Scud, and Baldra, what are you doing?
Scud has rope. Scud will climb.
All right, Scud, you find like a sapling nearby, wrap the rope around to anchor yourself. You start climbing down.
Can I cling to Scud's back like a leech as he climbs down?
That's up to Scud.
Ew.
Scud can carry.
No, Scud's already had something on his back.
Okay. So Scud starts climbing down. You feel the very familiar feeling of something or someone climbing over top of your back. And you climb down, Baldra, Durgak, and Cassius. It was not a short drop, by the way, as you guys jump down. You're going to go ahead and both take 4 points of damage. As you fall, like a good 20 feet or so, as you fall, and you land with a thud. Mark, what do you do?
Sure, I'm
I'll
glad
give
I
it
burned
yourself.
away most of my nerve endings.
You showed him.
Lark just sort of takes a look around and just sort of like pulls out Nigel and just says, "They all just went in the hole. I suppose we should follow." And so she'll like send Nigel down first. So little Nigel's
Sure.
like climbing down the rope and then Lark comes last.
You said Nigel an owl? Couldn't Nigel just fly down? No, this make Nigel crawl.
Funnier
or
if he
climb.
just
It's funny if he
crawls.
climbs. Yeah, it's funny if he climbs. Yeah, for sure. Okay. All right. So eventually, one way or the other, everyone gets down. And as you go to reach for your lantern bolter, you realize you don't really need it, as this you're in some kind of underground cavern. You can see there's all sorts of lights as around you. There is phosphorescent fungi everywhere. It's like growing out of the walls, of the floors, different sizes here and there. You also see that there's a series of pools, like these small pools that have been created maybe about 10 feet across or so in the rocky ground that you have fallen on. And they themselves are also various colors. You're not sure if they're reflecting the light of the fungi or if they're themselves just in sort of a different color. And you do see that there are two people down here that are milling about. One of whom you can see is a man who is about 6'5" or so, pretty big. He can see that his arms, from the fingers all the way up to his elbows, are pitch black. And then after that, it's just sort of this tan everywhere. He's wearing what looks like coveralls or overalls, like farmer clothing here and there, like this sort of apron-like look to the top where they're buttoned here and there. And he has in his hand what appears to be a large stick. From it hangs a little string, and he appears to be fishing out of one of these pools. Very big beard. The beard is sort of swirling as it goes down, and it's different colors, mostly black and gray and white. And then you see on the other side of this cavern, you see a woman who looks very much like a lowercase r, as she's very, very hunched over. And she's moving around, and she has a stick in one hand, and she has a smaller stick in the other. The big stick she's using is a cane, and the smaller stick she is using to essentially stab and poke and prod at various fungi. What do you guys like to do?
Can Baldra scratch Scud's back? Scud has too many muscles and can't reach.
Yes.
And she just kind of does the cat need.
Baldra is very unsettling. Someone else should probably speak to the people.
And Lark's just going to yell, "Hello there."
You get a response from the man as his head whips over to you and is like in your direction. Like, quiet! You're gonna scare him away. And he whips his head back down to the pool.
Scare the fish? The fish can't hear.
Quiet! You're gonna scare him away!
But your yelling back at us is equally disturbing, and you're closer to them than we are.
He stands up in a huff, like pissed off, yanks the actual fishing line out of it. And as you see it comes out, you see a hook so massive, it dwarfs the size of the fishing rod. It is almost as tall as he is. And it just comes flying up out of the pool and flops onto the ground, clinking here and there. And he takes a couple steps towards you. He's very tall. And he says, "Oh, Sid, quiet. No one said anything about fish. Now, quiet. You're gonna scare them away."
Would it be better if we whisper?
It would be much better. Thank you.
Baldra will whisper to them.
What are you fishing for?
And he looks at you. Boar. And he points over to this other side of this cave, and you see this giant boar that has to be the size of a massive grizzly. And it's laying down. It's been skinned. You can see blood. There's little flies kind of swarming around in it. It's been partially butchered here and there, as if he's been kind of working on it over time.
Okay. What is your name, sir?
Morgrim Blackthorn. And we've met. You always come here, and you always make too much noise, and you always scare the balls away. What's wrong with you?
I have. Sorry.
Go ahead.
I have an idea. I bet those boars have amazingly large lungs on them. What if I went into the water and I helped you guide your hook? If I helped you do that, if I helped you get the boar, could I claim salvage on the lungs? I just want the lungs. You can have everything else.
Cassius, who said anything about water? You go down in there. You ain't coming out. But you can have the lungs of that one over there. I ain't doing anything with them, and nor is Narissa.
Really? And Cassius should just immediately go over there and start adjusting his gas mask
Okay.
to adjust for having larger boar lungs.
Yeah, and you get these. Yeah, you can carve out these massive boar lungs, no problem.
Narissa was on my list, right?
No. Well, I mean,
okay.
both Morgrim and Narissa are on the list, but they've been crossed out.
Crossed out.
I'm sorry, did you say, and she's whispering, by the way, I'm sorry, did you say that we've been here before?
Yeah. Many times.
Why don't we remember being here?
You probably failed, is why. Rest of us,
Failed.
we gave up trying, I'd say years ago, but I lost count and I don't feel like counting any longer. You all
Failed?
keep trying, and that seems like a waste of, I'd say time, but I don't know.
Failed what?
To, wake it up.
What exactly are we trying to wake up if we've been here before?
What just happened to you? Oh my god, you just became letters right in front of me. That's new. Whatever's sleeping beneath it, or I don't know. It's, the god, the big thing. The thing that makes it all happen.
Oh,
That's what it is.
The big hand with the needles coming out of it that we saw up there?
No, it's the brain. You know, in the dome. Oh, God, this is like a new one. You just woke up again, did you? Usually you come here after you had a few days or so looking around. You're more understanding. Okay, here it is. There's a giant gold thing, I don't know, and we're on top of it. And there is, its brain is over, well, sometimes it's in the city, sometimes it's on the ship, and sometimes it's in the pasture. And it kind of moves here and there. And if you can get into it, and you can poke and prod at it, the theory is that you can wake it up. The problem is that we've all been trying since before we could remember not to try anymore, but all you, stubborn as you're all, continue to do it. And the rest of us go about our days.
Why is everyone trying to wake it up? Is it like...
No. We're not trying. We've given up. You all
But you were
keep doing
trying
it.
before, so why is everyone trying to?
'Cause they can't leave. You've got the pasture, you've got the coast, you've got the city. Pasture, coast, city. You haven't tried to leave, have you? You see, usually when you come here, it's after you've tried to leave at least once. But you know, you knew. You try to leave, you end back up right where you started.
I really want to go to the boat. You can't believe how much air I could put in these lungs. Look at this.
That is big. This is the first time that you've gone into the bores for the lungs. You were here once, ages ago. You got the entrails, and you made some kind of contraption with it, like a flail or a whip, 3 tails, and you started hitting things with it. But we already took care of the entrails this time.
Okay, I will remember that.
Okay.
So, where is Lucian? And what does it mean when the wind is right?
When the wind is right. Yeah. Okay, so you've tried. You haven't seen the metal dome yet, have you? There's all sorts of scratchings on it, you know?
Okay.
And you all got it in your heads. It's some sort of code, right? It's some sort of sacrifice. Because you found this or that or this thing or that, and you got to keep sacrificing this or that to it. And every time you sacrifice a different combination, you think, hey, this is the time that something's going to happen, that the engravings are going to glow, the dome's going to spin, the old thing in the sky and the ground's going to wake up. And so you just keep killing folk, but like it's the most useless waste of time because we just wake up like a day later, hanging from the tree or dug underneath the ground or one or the other. Now, so you probably, I guess those are the ones you're going to kill this time. Good on you. Lucian's a real cunt, he is. I don't like him at all.
Okay.
Actually, I've got an idea. Okay, what if we find where the dome is with the brain? I was able to see where the blood was in the finger because there's still blood flow there. What if instead of just doing regular sacrifices, we take those intestines? You said you saved the intestines. That's great. We'll fill the intestines with the blood of the sacrifices, and we're going to attach that to the blood flow that we've confirmed in the fingers, and attach the blood flow from the finger to the brain, and create like a loop. And maybe that'll wake it up.
What if we got enough
Because
intestines?
when it senses something and it feels something, it might wake up. Because then it's not just a brain in a jar, then it's feeling something.
I think you ate too many herbs, man. I don't know what you're talking about.
Or I haven't eaten enough.
I lost track of the question. What? Yes? No? Oh, I don't know.
Yes.
Anyhow, Lucian's probably on the boat. And so when the wind is right, Lucian will be over there. Makes sense?
Where would Estella be?
Who?
Estrella.
Oh, yeah. She's in the city. She's at the auction probably. As she usually is. Always auctioning this off or that. She loves her artifacts. Magic tools and such. They just trade them away like they're collectibles here and there. I don't know.
Aldra, who was the last on the list?
I don't know if I wrote it correctly, but the 47th Kane?
That one. Yeah, he's wandering the pasture somewhere.
Okay.
Scud doesn't forget days. Scud always remembers leg day.
Yep, you sure do. Leg day. Every day. Anyhow, can you be quiet now? It's not often you come here so young. I've got stuff to fish out, if you don't mind. What?
Sorry. Lark is going to... Okay. So she's got like the kind of the white kind of sleeve that she's got. And she is going to go up to this guy. His name was Morgan.
Morgrim.
So she's it's good to meet you, Morgrim. And so what she wants to try to do is because she's got this truth serum that she's got sort of in this little like kind of needle at the end of her sleeve. And so she wants to try to like shake his hand and then kind of inject him with that.
Okay. Roll a dex to see if you can do this sort of sneakily.
Okay.
All right.
Is there something that I can do to try to get advantage on that? Can I spend a doom?
You can spend a doom. You have to roll your doom die. It's not so much advantage, but you can roll your doom die and you can add the number that you rolled on it to the check. But you automatically deplete.
Reduce it. Okay.
The doom. Yeah.
Okay. So I rolled a 5 on my doom die, so I'm good there. So my doom die
you do deplete it, yeah.
Right, but I didn't do like roll like a horrible thing.
Okay.
On the doom die. Okay, so now I'm rolling dex, which means now it's a 17 instead of a 12.
You subtract the result. So roll your die and then subtract 5 from it, and that's your roll. So just roll your test and then subtract 5 from the result.
That's right. Got it. Okay. So I rolled a 13, which would have been a fail because my dex is 12, but I subtract 5, so then it's 8 under 12.
And yeah, he looks down like, all right, nice to meet you. We'll go through the whole process, I guess. Nice to meet you, yada, yada, yada. Okay.
So I'm sorry. Tell me again, Mr. Morgram, how is it that folks get out of here?
Well, folks don't get out of here. That's the whole point. No one gets out of here. People try to get out of here, and then eventually, at a certain point, they give up trying to get out of here. I've already gone over this again. But you all don't want to give up yet. Rest of us, Narissa and I, we found a nice little corner of the place to settle down and enjoy whatever time this thing decides to give us.
And I'm assuming the rest of the group kind of knows what Lark does. She doesn't shake hands very often. And so she's just going to kind of look and see if other folks have questions that they want to ask, because they would all know now is the time to get truthful answers.
So how long have we been doing this whole repeat thing?
I don't really count exactly. I don't say it every time. Sometimes I do. Sometimes I don't. Sometimes you go a different way. You go over to the coast, the crocodiles eat you, the octopi drag you down. Sometimes you go into the city, shadow dealer might get you or such. Sometimes you wander the pasture and one of the giant skeletons gets you, something like that. I don't know. And sometimes you just kind of hang out at the tree for a really long time and eventually you wander past. But, I don't know exactly years or months. There's no sun really to tell the days by. It's all just kind of this gloomy grey. But you've been here less than the rest of the night. Probably, I don't know, 20 years maybe? 30? I don't know. Who's to say? We might all be dreaming for all I know.
No. I came here to get the things. There was the bomb for the festivals, and what?
Right.
No.
Yeah, I know. You were going to a place. You've told me this before. This isn't the place you were going. Something happened. Something happened en route, and now you're here. That's just the way of it. I don't even remember where I was going when I got caught up here. Yeah. Nerissa, she was going to see her daughter, and now she's here. And that's just the way of it, Cassius. Sorry.
Have I gotten older since I've been here?
No, that's one good thing. They look the same age as the day we arrived. Isn't that great? I suppose. For some of us. Others, and he looks over at Nerissa, who again looks like an old crone, lowercase r. For others, it ain't so great.
Do you have anything to add?
What? I just told you like a bunch of things. What are you talking about?
No, Nerissa. Do you have anything to add?
No! She's
What
in
if we
the
ask
mood.
more nicely?
No, fuck off!
So, Scud, when you keep saying you don't skip leg day, that doesn't mean anything, dude. For all you know, you've skipped leg day for 20 years, and you just keep waking up thinking you didn't skip leg day.
Scud does not skip leg day.
I don't know,
That's
man.
the thing. We need an absolute, okay? Because this is some sort of like repeating situation. However, we haven't changed, which means things are moving, but they aren't moving. What we need to do is this is madness. This is chaos. We need an absolute. We need an absolute. Like Scud never skipping leg day. We need to hook Scud's brain up to this brain, make it realize the utter absolute of his mentality that this is leg day that cannot be skipped. And if you can't skip it, you have to move forward, because once you've done leg day, you can't skip leg day.
Scud doesn't skip leg day.
Hey, man,
Can I hook
I've
your brain up
never
to the
heard-
giant brain?
What does that even mean? How do
I
you
don't
hook
know.
a brain up to something else?
We have to find it first.
I
I'm
imagine
a
we
big
just
fan of
jump.
trial and error.
Wait, what happens if we jump into the pool of your big fish hook, dude?
Pain, and then you wake up back at the hill. Some of us
Oh.
wake up other places, but you always the hill.
That's bizarre that we only wake up at the hill.
Right, I don't make the rules, but that's what happens. There's a theory that wherever you first died in here, and how you died, is how you wake up. So, there you go.
Oh.
I died like a turnip? That's crazy.
Yeah. It's better than the way I was. I got eaten by a boar. I gotta crawl out of a boar's anus every time I wake up, which is why I really do not like to die anymore.
I would stop dying too.
Exactly. Like I said, some of us just give up. It's not a bad life.
Which way would we like to go if we don't want to give up?
Like I said,
I want to try. I want to go to the boat.
you can go to the boat, just be careful of the crocs, be careful of the squids. And then if Lucian's up there, he'll call one or two of them up. I don't like him either. He's a real son of a bitch. He thinks he's a pirate or something.
I think the 47th one is probably closer.
Yeah, he's wandering around here somewhere.
He's just right up there.
Yes.
So you guys haven't found the zone with all the piles of metal and swords and things, right?
No.
No? Okay, good. Skip that one. Big old golem. Cut you to pieces. Very unpleasant.
Thank you.
Yeah, no problem.
Scud would turn to Lark. If Scud asks question, this man will tell truth.
Also,
Yes, be hasty.
Are Scud's muscles impressive?
yeah, you've got the biggest muscles of anyone here. Well,
Scud smiles and takes a step back.
of most everyone here. Yeah. You wouldn't be interested in the one that might be bigger. But it's not like he's bigger, he's a better fighter than you is all.
Who?
You really want to know? It's got nothing to do. You've already killed him at least a dozen times. It's not a big deal. Grom, the brawler. He's in this city. He gets the pit fights and such together.
Scud will kill Grom.
Yeah, you already have, like, at least a dozen times. Brutally, too. You bit his throat out once. Yeah.
Have you told Scud this before?
Probably. I don't know. Not that I can't
Scud
see
doesn't
it.
skip jaw day.
So anyhow, can I get back to fishing? Okay. Goodbye. Oh, off of you. It's the only way out. Now go.
See you later, Narissa. Hopefully not.
Shut the fuck
So nice.
up!
So nice to talk to you.
It was so nice. Like they gave us all the lungs.
So what if next time Scud he pulled the thing out of the tree and it started to bleed? And if it's still bleeding,
Scud did not break tree.
what if we took the intestines and we put it at the tree and then we got enough to go to the brain? And then the tree's blood went into the brain's blood.
I'm all
Are
about
you
this. I love the
also
idea of
a-
transporting blood from one place to another, and then we just see what happens. Trial and
I
error.
read it once, it's called a transfusion.
Yes.
Why are you all so obsessed with moving weird objects to other places? I don't understand.
Some of us have had to make our living via travel. We sell things, we talk to people, and that's how we make money.
What does blood have to do with that? That's just called being a merchant.
Some people buy blood. I kill people for money.
That seems a bit heavy for just meeting you, but okay.
Well, apparently we've met before.
I don't remember.
And according to my list, I've killed you before.
That seems impolite. Don't do that again.
Wait, one of her names was on the list. I asked you that earlier, but you didn't really answer. You said it was just scribbled too thoroughly.
That's true.
his
Are
name
you
is
a
very
liar?
long, unless someone else has the name. What is it? Gimmeldink. I doubt there's another one, so I presumed it was Durgak.
Oh, it's probably the double D's that threw us.
Yeah, they always get me.
Scud will start climbing.
Okay. Yeah. No problem. You guys can climb on out.
I
Get out.
presume we're talking and pitifully climbing.
Yeah. I mean, I imagine you're on the back of Scud again, so it's probably
Oh, yeah.
might be
Yeah, we're
might be
Princess
harder for
Briding.
might be harder for Scud to keep up that side of the conversation than Bulger. But yeah, you guys get out to the top. No problem. Nothing's changed up here. What do you want to do?
Okay, so we apparently have a shopping list. So I don't know. I didn't write good notes. I don't know if we're collecting body parts or if we just need to like drag them to the altar and kill them at the altar. But that is like sacrifice. It was like for a spell.
Lark is going to send Nigel off with the instruction to find the 47th and return.
Okay, fair enough. All right, so leaps up in the air. And he starts flying around. This is a timing thing. Roll an int test. This is just determine how quickly he finds. You can obviously just roll it. And how far away, maybe.
This is a roll under, so a roll the same fails, right?
Roll the same fails, yeah. Gotta be
Okay,
under.
so into 12, roll the 12.
Okay. It's still not a terrible roll, so it doesn't take too long. But eventually, if you're waiting around in the same place, you're just lingering here, you guess about 20 minutes or so go by. And eventually Nigel comes back. And through whatever bit of communication that you do, does Nigel talk, or do you just sort of gestures, motions in the direction?
Yeah, it's the owl wings, and so you just see like the one wing fold in and the other wing points very clearly.
Just points you in a direction. Yeah, just points you in a direction. That's it.
That is where the 47th is.
Lead the way, Lark.
Okay. So you start heading in, and you're pushing through the hedgerows again. I won't make you roll this time. All right. Oops, got to reroll. Okay. You push through, and you immediately see a large pile of metal weapons on the ground in the middle of this pasture. This sort of framed pasture. It's a relatively square shape. Again, everything's sort of tic-tac-toe grids. And you see this massive stack of spears and swords and axes, all manner, or arrows as well. But it's all metal, basically, like the metal broadheads and things like that, all stacked up here. And you can see that point, the wing point is going directly through into the other side of that massive pile of metal. Thank you, Griffin. Griffin threw us some bits. So that's 5. You can use those for advantages. So if at any point you want to make a roll, take one.
Sweet.
That's an advantage. Yeah. Do you have something, Steven? Sorry.
No.
Okay.
We got to find some way around. I remember the fishing dude said avoid the golem that sits on all of the weapons. I don't feel like getting cut to ribbons. It feels like a really bad way to end the session.
That's why I designed this, so that if at any point we're going really long, I'm just going to kill you all, and that's the end of the session. It's a one shot. It's already.
I mean,
Genius, really.
I can scout ahead and to try not to draw any notice, and then just report back.
Nigel did tell us it was in this direction, so we should not stray far.
Okay.
You guys could do a group test. So with this game, if you all tried to, for example, stealth around or through without trying to disturb this pile, everyone would roll the stealth test. Everyone would basically a dex test in this case, I would say. And as long as half of you succeed, the whole group does.
Seems fair to me.
Got some advantages if some half want to use the advantage.
I didn't roll a good, and I have good dex.
Oh no.
I will not use advantage, but I probably should.
Fortunately, as an urchin, I get to roll.
Oh my god!
Oh my god!
We need
Double
3
fail.
successes.
I'm gonna use
Double
advantage.
Okay.
Wait, more than half have already failed, so it doesn't even matter. what I roll.
I
Two
passed.
have failed. 2 have failed.
I even had
Baldur
advantage
succeeded.
on that.
I rolled my boulder, and it was on the 1 for like a second and a half, and then it tipped over to the 13, so I failed.
Okay, so Scud fails. So you guys are an odd number, huh? So I don't think it has rules for round up or round down. So let's see. I'm just gonna roll.
I
this
did
50-50.
succeed. I rolled 11 on both dice.
I rolled 18 twice.
High or
Oh my
low,
gosh.
Lark? High or low?
Low.
All right, it was a 3. So we'll say for this case we'll round down. 2 is enough. At a certain point, as y'all are sneaking around, you can see very slight wind begins to swoop through, and you can see the high grass starts to tickle the sides of the pile. And as it does so, you watch as the pile begins to kind of unfurl a little bit, and you can see this long, gigantic metallic arm, blades and spikes just beginning to unfurl, and then goes right back down. You take a few more steps, and Scud and Durgak, you kind of crunch on some of this grass. Just happen to be really, really dry. And once more, there's a shift in the blade pile again. Everyone stops, completely still, hold your breath, and eventually it settles once more. You get all the way around to the other side, and we'll say you make it across. However, you do see that as you're getting all the way up to that second hedgerow on the other side, you can see that there's more movement to the blade pile now, and this time it gets up, and you see this small spherical head begin to unfurl, kind of look up, and these large, very wide broadsword just begins to kind of flip open, and you can see these massive eyeballs staring at the five of you. What do you want to do?
I want to like run the hell away because I can't fight a giant sword man. I'm made of paper.
I shoot him in the eyeball with a flaming lance.
What the hell is wrong with you, dude?
He's so much bigger. He's going to catch us.
All right. All right.
Baldra was once on an adventure. It was called Silent but Deadly, the Lich's Lair.
Oh.
And so she is rather stealthy, so she will attempt to hide us from his gaze.
Okay, I would say that with Cassius firing, that hiding is probably like you made it across. You can run, but
stealth attack. If we do fight, is what I'm saying.
Okay, so Cassius, go ahead. Let's start with Cassius' attack. Cassius, roll your attack, but you got to add 2 to your roll, as this thing is level 5. It's a higher level
That's
than
fair.
you all.
I'm looking to see if there's anything I can do with dooming to try and do like I don't know that there's a blinding attack.
I'll take.
Could I roll my dooming to do?
Yeah.
Because basically I want to shoot him in the eye and like temporarily blind him.
Yeah, I'm down with that. That sounds good to me. Yeah.
Okay, roll a 5, doesn't degrade.
Okay.
And then I'll just roll a dex check because I'm shooting him. Basically, you see Cassius like pull out of his pack. There's like this. It looks like a dead baby dragon that the spine's been redirected and bent into the shape of a gun. There's just one patch of like preserved meat where the uvula would be, and there's a bunch of wires that come up to it. Because he just pulls it out, aims the little baby dragon. The big old firebolt comes launching at the thing's eye.
Okay. How much damage does this do?
It just does regular damage.
Okay.
D6.
Well, you were doing the blind thing, right? Yeah. Okay.
I'll do the blind, but I get a bonus lingering D4 of damage. So even though I just blinded it.
We'll say the D4 damage, we'll say that stays. We'll say like maybe the initial damage is traded off for it being blind, but then the UD4, the usage die, will continue to burn.
I think I still need to roll to hit though.
Okay. Okay. I'm sorry. I thought you already did that. So go ahead and roll.
No, I rolled the dooming die. I'll take one of those boons, maybe.
Sure, got it. So you basically did vicious, Jeremy.
I did blinding.
Yeah, which is one we
not
made
on
up.
the list. It's just I was like, hey, can I blind it if I shoot in the eye with a flaming?
I think
attack?
that sounds great. I think it's awesome. Yeah, and I'll make basically its attack's disadvantage because one of its eyes has been blinded. So it's essentially it's blind out of one eye.
So no damage from the actual shot. It's just blinded, but there's a lingering 2 fire damage.
Okay. Sounds good. Is anybody else doing anything? This is like sort of before initiative. I'll give anybody else like a chance to do something before I roll initiative, and running away is a perfectly valid thing to do as well.
Yeah, so Lark is going to kind of pull into her other pocket within a pocket.
Come in peace.
Yeah, we did, maybe. And so she is going to pull out this crystal.
Mm-hmm.
And so she's going to take the crystal in her hand and she's going to kind of like rub the crystal. And as the crystal heats up, you're going to see kind of out of the crystal is you're going to see this like holographic-ish version of Scud that's kind of life-size, but it's going to be kind of projected in, sort of like our momentum was going this way. And it's that projection is going to go back in the other direction. And so this is one of her inventions of a image crystal. So kind of like a distraction.
Okay, so you're trying to distract it. You're probably doing it out of the peripheral vision of its good eye. Okay, to get it to be distracted. Okay.
Yep.
Do you have to roll a check for this at all?
I don't believe so. No.
Okay, it's just one of your adventure items that you spent your points on. Yeah. So adventures, they get a certain amount of points that they can spend on various inventions, various items. We've seen both Cassius and Lark use them. And then if we were playing this in like a normal setting, there is an upkeep for them that you would also have to spend as well. Okay, so you can hear this very grating, like metallic voice begin to echo out from that pile as it's starting to thrash around as the eye is burning. You can even see, because the eye is kind of glassy, and you fired this flaming arrow lance into it, and it's burning still. And you can see the metal surrounding the eye is getting torched and turning black here and there, and it's like thrashing a bit. And then it looks, and you can see it just sort of sweeps around, and it's paying its attention now to that image that Lark has thrown on the other side. Durgak, Scud, or Balger, is anything you're doing?
Is Durgak running?
Well, I mean, I have a weapon now, so I guess I'm gonna try and help out my weird friends that want to seem to die.
Now, they have it running. We should run now.
I didn't blind it to stand here like an idiot. I blinded it to run.
All right.
Scud doesn't skip leg day. Scud runs.
Okay, so Scud's running. And Scud, you smash into this giant hedge, and you create a Scud-sized hole in it through which others can follow if they wish.
That sounds like a good plan.
Go, Durgak,
Okay.
go.
Okay. So Durgak, Balger follow as this thing is swinging around. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to give it a quick sort of 50-50 to see if it watches you all run, or if it's going to be completely consumed by this this image that Lark has created. Lark, high or low?
Low.
Okay. All right, it's a 2. So this thing suddenly stands, and you can see it's standing like 15, maybe 20 feet tall, and there's and it starts thrashing around here and there. One of its eye, like it's kind of reaching up, trying to grab with these pointy sword-like fingers at that lance in its eye, but it's struggling to get that manual dexterity to pull it out. And then it's also trying to stomp with these huge legs. All these points, these jagged points, are trying to stomp at that little apparition that Lark made, giving Cassius and Lark enough time to kind of follow the rest of you, darting through the hedgerow. Okay. So you run through, and then you kind of get into another one of these large, semi-empty looking pastures. You see the point of the owl of Nigel's continuing to point, push through another one. It's like 3 more zones until eventually you push into a zone that has a relatively intact cottage. Looks same sort of color scheme, same sort of stone and wood mixture with tiles, except the roof has been partially ripped apart. As you can see, there's like a sapling growing up through it, like this small tree beginning to sprout as it pushes through the roof. And you also see, kind of loping around, not quite on all fours, you see a figure. And you look and you realize that it's somewhat canine, got fur, large ears, big snout, and it's like loping a bit. And for some reason, all of you realize that this is the 47th Kane. Some sort of werewolf creature that seems to be on the opposite side, hasn't quite noticed you yet, and is loping around over there, and it almost seems like it's eating or tearing through something.
I would like to hide behind Scud's massive thighs.
Done. You do. Cowering. The thighs even begin to swell just to give you more room to hide.
As he flexes.
Baldra, are we to kill this? To scratch it off your list?
Well, I believe it is our list. Yes, we should probably sacrifice him. I did not realize Kane probably stood for K9. Interesting.
I did not either.
Scud can kill a dog.
I probably cannot. I can kill people.
Scud, were you raised in like a war-torn country? That seems like a very strange thing to say.
Scud was born in a hut.
Okay.
How very normal of you.
Baldra is going to like stealth.
Okay, anybody who wants to try to stealth up on this thing, we'll do another group test, roll dex. If you don't want to be part of it, and you'd rather just stay at range, that's fine as well. You don't have to roll it.
What did you say we could get if we tie it to our backstory?
You can get advantage. You can also spend the audience dice as well. So you've got, this is just our homebrew, by the way. Like I started them at level 3. Each level you basically have like a story, as like on your saga. And I tell them just to make something up. And so our homebrew just for this session is that if they can come up with how something happened in that little saga story of theirs that would be useful in this moment, they could get an advantage on a roll. So a little flashback kind of thing. So
Scud has a saga, Raiders and Rebels. He learned guerrilla warfare, so he will be using that to stealth around.
Okay. Go ahead and roll dexterity at advantage. Take the better of the two.
Yes.
Let's see. Okay, you pass. Vanryk, Cassius already passed. Looks like Durgak passed. How did Lark and Bulger do? All right, 4 people have passed. All of you passed. So if everyone passed, you all sneak up. You get a little close, and you realize that he's just kind of tearing through this massive boar on the ground and has no idea that you're there. What do you want to do?
Lark takes out her Inquisitor's longsword. It's gonna need to prove that she can actually do something with this thing.
Okay. So what we'll say is everyone's going to go before they get to go. It's possible they might not get to go. Since you've snuck up on them, I'll also say, you can have advantage on whatever, if you make an attack or something like that, you can have an advantage on that. And so just go ahead and do what you want to do. So Lark, you bring out that giant Inquisitor sword. You try to hack down. Go ahead and roll an attack. This guy is level 4, so add 1 to your roll. It's for everybody.
Okay. All right. That is a 7 under 10.
Okay, that is an absolute hit. Go ahead and roll your damage, and it's a 2-handed weapon, right?
Yes, it is.
So for this game, 2-handed weapons, it's the same weapon damage as everything else, except you roll your damage die twice and you take the better. So it's advantage on the damage die. So go ahead and roll your 2d6s, take the better. That's how much damage you do.
4.
Okay, so you step up, reach back with the sword, and this little werewolf guy who's just biting away at this boar, eating some food. You just slash down into its back. You see this eruption of fur and blood and viscera, and this. What are the rest of you doing?
Baldra is an assassin, so my first attack against an unaware target is an automatic hit that deals damage equal to my dex score.
Beautiful. What's your dex score?
Ooh.
Wow.
My dex score is 10.
Okay,
Plus
so it does 10 points of damage.
Oh my gosh.
Dang.
Okay.
So you guys just see as Baldra kind of stealthily, like cat crawls up towards him and then leaps, and then with her blood metal sickle just slashes down the other side, like his side.
As you stab it in the side. All right, who's next? Still up.
I'll go.
All right, Scud.
You want to? Go ahead.
No, go ahead.
You said we get advantage on the attack, right?
Yeah, I'll say just because you all came up here 5 successes on your stealths, they had no idea.
I'm
you were
going
here.
unarmed because you made it canon that Scud will bite people's throats out.
I'm sorry. Is that what you're doing?
Yes, I'm trying to bite his throat out. That is a success on the attack.
Okay.
And I have another saga I'm going to use on advantage for the damage die if I can.
Fair enough. Absolutely. Go ahead.
My other saga is Eat the Rich. So the 47th King works out nicely.
So the story is you literally ate rich people? Is that what that would really happen?
That was the guerrilla warfare that I did.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay. And you found a prince or a king somewhere and you just ate them. You took the phrase literally. Okay. All right. You've used both yours up.
Yes. And that is max damage 8.
All right. So for you, because you have certain abilities, it actually bumps your D4 unarmed die. You're all the way up to D8 and you rolled an 8. And describe how you kill this poor defenseless werewolf.
Yeah, so the thing is just battered from all sides from everyone ambushing it. And Scud just rushes forward and like grabs it by the muzzle and pulls back its head and just chomps down on the throat and just rips it out with a massive fur in his mouth.
And as you toss it off to the side, the chunk is just this saliva and blood matted fur. You look down, just coursing out of the throats, the blood, eyes roll back, tongue falls off to the side, and this creature is dead for now.
Guys, it was eating a boar. We don't know if it was actually hostile to us or not. And Scud, what the
Need him dead. He's on our list.
Yeah, but how do we know your list is like the list, you know? What if it's just like your paranoia?
If you have a list, it's obviously a hit list if you're an assassin.
Okay, well, I'm clearly going to harvest the intestines so that we can hook up and do a blood transfer.
Well, don't do that. We don't know what we need from him. We need everything. We need to drag his body back to the tree.
Scud eats the rich. And I pull out my hunting knife to start preparing the body.
Whoa, whoa.
Skinning the body.
Scud, please.
We have manners. We eat at a table. There is a table over that way. We're taking it to the table.
Scud prepares the body before carrying.
I need Scud's muscles to carry the body.
What does preparing the body before carrying mean?
Like when you're hunting, you disembowel it before you...
Gotcha. Yeah.
Like I said, I'm going to get the intestines. I already volunteered.
All right, so Scud is taking the carcass minus the intestines and such. Cassius is taking the intestines.
You guys made this so much more messy than it needed to be at this present
It's
point in time.
extraordinarily messy. You guys are coated in werewolf blood. Absolutely. Okay.
Oh, I want the boar's intestines too.
Sure. And they're like all falling and stringy and you're throwing them up. It's like an unfurled fireman hose is basically what you're dealing with right now.
Did not listen to Baldra. There is a table. We can put it on the table.
Okay. Where do you go next now that you have this thing dead?
The table.
Okay.
Yeah, we need to go back to the tree, to the altar, and then eventually
Not a hard route back. You make it back unimpeded. Climb up the hill once more. There's that altar with the various runes, the blood stains and such, and yeah, you're there.
Can I do the incantation that is listed on the altar with the body here to start it, or do I know if I need all the bodies?
You don't have really
So
any
I'm gonna
clear
rip
idea.
it.
No. What I mean
just-
is you've tried a lot of things in the past. Like, you know that, you have that memory, and none of them have really worked. Like, somewhere along the line, you got it in your head that sacrificing various people or some combination of people might somehow appease whatever creature, whatever god or whatever deity whose demi-plane you found yourselves attached to. Like, that somehow is going to work. can certainly try.
Okay, I would like to do it.
Okay. All right. So you want to go through a ritual. You're trying to sacrifice. You're trying to use this. I mean, he's already dead. So you plop the carcass on top.
Yeah.
Whatever parts of the innards, the intestines that Cassius is willing to give over. Okay. So you've got, so you want to try to go through this ritual. Now, there's not a whole lot you have to do here. I'll say what I'll want from everybody. This is what I'm going to want from everybody. You know how to do it. You can read. We're going to treat this like a group test.
Okay, love it.
All of you are there. We're going to make it a group test, and it's going to be your charisma or your wisdom. I'll take either one of those two, and we'll see how well you do. I mean, it's going to be a requirement before you start spending stuff. It's going to be 3 this time. I'm going to require. Gotta look that up, whether it's roll up or it's round up or round down. I'm not sure. So it's going to be 3 successes for this to be a successful sacrifice.
Scud can read.
Okay. I believe
I'm
you.
sorry, what was the test?
It's
Success
either
on
wisdom. It's basically you're basically contributing to the ritual. So you're going to roll wisdom or charisma, somehow like praying or can participate in the ritual somehow. So everyone's going to roll a test, explain what they're doing as part of this ritual. And then we'll look at your successes and see whether or not it was a success.
Well, clearly I'm doing my best to remember the blood system I saw on the finger. I'm going to try and take these intestines to try and do a crude surgical attachment of these intestines to the tree and get a blood flow redirected. And then I don't really know where I'm going with it just yet. We're going to find a place to send it.
Okay.
Maybe send some of it to the altar for now.
Yes.
Okay.
Oh no. Okay.
Nope.
Cassius, you're trying to rearrange like the intestines in such a way to try to feed some of the blood and just sort of drip it back out into the plinth, but it's just starting to spray wildly. You're seeing tears in the intestines and everything's just getting messy. It's getting in your eye and your face.
I need to cauterize the wound.
Okay, who's next?
Could my story, an errand for the Beast Queen, more guts apply to this?
Sure, that sounds great.
Okay.
Yeah.
Just
So you have
'cause there's
done
so
in the
many
past,
guts.
outside of this demiplane, you've done rituals like these. These aren't
Yeah.
Yeah.
I
You've
love
appeased
guts.
numerous
get
guts
in
with
them guts,
entrails.
as they would
absolutely.
say.
Bones, entrails, various. Yeah, you do this. Absolutely.
Okay, I got it.
Maybe you're was it a Haruspex? Is that what it's called? Read the entrails for for fortune and divinity.
I did succeed.
Okay, so we've got 1 success so far. Just so what do we see Baldra doing as she is dedicated to this portion of the ritual?
So she's got this poor man laid out on there, and she's not necessarily just messing with just like his intestines, like Cassius is on that. She's got like his lungs, his heart. His heart is the main thing that she's focused on, and she's kind of just like squeezing it above the altar as she's doing the incantation, and then at the end of it she takes a bite and then spits it onto the altar.
Okay, beautiful. Absolutely beautiful. All right, who is next?
Scud rolled wisdom and passed.
Okay.
So he is writing incantations all throughout this. And apparently incantations don't really matter what words you write because he's writing bugs over and over and over. He's just etching it into the rock.
Right.
But it's more about the thought, the intent behind it.
And what are the thoughts that are in your head as you're writing out bugs?
He's claiming his kill. He's claiming the werewolf king. He's really thinking about dinner, but he's more focused than he's ever been.
Beautiful.
His
Lark?
2 brain cells doing overtime.
Lark or Durgak, do you have an idea?
Durgak, I guess, victim to this group's psychopath
Right.
ritual, is just going to burn some herbs and say it's incense for the ritual. I succeeded.
Okay. And so you just get some of these herbs out of your pack and you start burning them,
We're all
wafting
getting
up.
collectively high.
And it's covering the dank and horrific smell of this poor werewolf creature that you're just ripping apart in all sorts of manner.
I'm going
All right.
to fill my boar lungs with it and save it for later.
Lark, what about you?
So, all right. So Lark's first saga story name was Hello, is anyone out there? So she's going to do charisma, and she's just kind of trying to do like the appropriate like supplication for like all of this to work. So like whatever like, kind of prayer related words she needs to say, she's going to like focus real hard on that.
Okay. All right,
and so I got the advantage from that, and I succeeded.
All right. Okay. What is it that you say to beseech this god, this nameless god of time and space? What is it you say?
I am basically just describing everyone and just how cool everyone is. And it's just, do you not see the creativity? We have the most creative of adventures ever. Do you not see the muscles? We have the strongest of all of the muscles in all of the land. Do you not see the sorcery and all of the influence that we can do? And do you not see the good-heartedness? We have the most good-hearted of good-hearted, who is going along with all of this for the benefit of the greater good. We are worthy and deserving, all of us.
Within half a heartbeat of when you finish saying we are worthy, all of us, the ground begins to tremble and shake. Now, Cassius, Lark, you were laying on the ground at one point and felt a very slight tremble, but this is far more noticeable, as you don't even be laying on the ground. And the rest of you notice it as well, as everything just begins to shake and shake. You see a fissure in the ground begin to crack open. Scud, you watch as there's this trickle of that red syrup weaving its way down this fissure, and it just kind of bursts around the altar and kind of covers you all in this sticky grime that catches in your feet here and there. You all kind of start to try to move, but you're slowed down. The trembling continues, and you watch as erupting from within the pasture, you just see this huge chunk of earth as 5 of these jagged rock outcroppings that you know are fingers just pull up and up and up out of the ground. You see the hedgerows getting thrown around. You see the portions of that volcanic rock shaving, the covering, begin to fall away. And you watch as a hand, this massive gray tan hand, flexes these long, gnarled fingernails curving around because they haven't been clipped in who knows how long. And it just flexes and flexes, and it just reaches up into the air and down over top of where the altar is, just scooping all of you up, right up into the sky. As you're hovering there, and this massive hand, you're looking down, and you can see that there's like a lake here. And beneath the lake, Cassius, you notice this very thin, kind of thin layer of water begins to sort of peel back a bit. You see a massive eye opens up. Look over here by the coast of the ocean. A second eye looks at you. And it's just kind of hovering over top of it. And then very quickly, actually, you get moved down to the point where all of you are starting to get sick at this point, as it quickly pulls you down to the ground once more. And then you move up with even greater velocity back up into the air, and it lets go of you. And all of you just start hurling through the air, all the way through that misty haze that's been covering, all the way up to the point where you can no longer see what's below. You can't see the city anymore. You can't see the ocean. You can't see anything. You're just hurling, and just until the point where like you almost sort of feel weightless. And you're up there for 15, 20 minutes, 30 minutes, just flying and flying. And then suddenly you start to feel yourselves descending for a little while. There's a cloud cover. You go through that, you pull through that cloud cover, you feel little bits of moisture begin to get on your hair and your clothes. And then you burst through the cloud and you look down and you see this glorious blue-green ocean below you. You see no signs of the coast, no signs of the ship, no signs of the actual city or the pasture. And you're just hurling down, falling and falling. and with a massive splash and a great deal of pain, you all fall into this ocean, having been thrown, quite literally, out of this domain.
Scud can't swim.
Scud sinks and sinks and sinks and sinks.
Kick your legs, damn it! What good are
Cassius,
they?
with 75% of his bones broken from the impact, just giggling like a crazy man at the top, and Scud continues to sink. That is where I think we will call it for this this one-shot adventure. Okay. You guys are floating in the middle of an ocean, in the middle of nowhere. Scud sinking to the bottom of that ocean.
I need the giant fish hook now.
There you go. Okay. All right. So that was Black Sword Hack, sorta. that was Black Sword Hack and my own little sandbags thing that I have here. Okay. So yeah, if you're unfamiliar and you're looking at the chat, Steven just dropped it. But if you're watching this later on YouTube, check the show notes. I'll drop some links to the Black Sword Hack stuff. What y'all think? Y'all like it? Like it?
Oh,
You
yeah.
like it?
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
I would do
I
more.
like it too. I really like
I
the
get to be
system.
demented and crazy.
It was fun.
It's
Yeah.
great, and I love the doom factor. That was really fun.
Mhm.
Yeah, no one got doomed. No one got doomed. No one. So you get doomed.
I was
basically, you get advantage. You get
I got down to a
disadvantage on all your
D4.
rolls. Effectively, you got down to 4. Yeah, if it depleted one more time, you would have been doomed.
Yep.
Which meant that you're disadvantaged at everything. Effectively, but a
Mhm.
long rest, so an overnight rest would have been able to do it. So you've been able to reset it back to its original state. Okay, very cool. And I like how you all are using like the effects. I love the effect stuff. I love using
Yeah,
the doom.
agree.
Vector. I think that's
That's a cool
really, really
mechanic
cool.
for sure.
Yeah, like you get so much control of it. I really like it. It's very nice. But all right, very, very cool. The fun, yeah, I've been like kind of tinkering with this adventure for years. Like I said, I was originally going to run it a long time ago when we were playing Best Left Buried. I was thinking of running it there, but then like we started doing some other things, and it took a while for us to kind of get back to like a dark fantasy. And so now we're here. This seemed like the good time to break it out. So hope you all had fun.
Oh yeah.
Yes.
A
Very
lot of
much.
fun, definitely.
For sure.
All right, and some say Scott is still sinking today. Who knows?
Just walking along the bottom of the ocean.
He can hold his breath
He just
forever.
walks to shore.
He never forgot leg day, but he did forget cardio. He can't swim. He's just out of breath.
It's just
Oh,
too
God.
dense, you know?
Yeah, all right. Awesome. So why don't we do a couple closing plugs, and then we'll get out of here. So let's start up with Jeremy. Jeremy, tell us about the Patreon.
Yeah, Aaron Reese on Patreon, comics, maps, tokens, other fun stuff. Check it out. Why not?
Absolutely. Yeah, drop the link in the chat. Again, check the show notes if you're watching this later on YouTube. You can go over there. I used to use a lot of when I was using maps and I had a couple of maps set up for our Blade Runner game that I never ended up using them, but I had a couple maps and I was using some of Aaron Reese's stuff for that, but never actually did. Not so much a map game, unfortunately. Let's see. What else we got going on? So our next game is tomorrow, and so I think you can see Melissa, you can see Ashley, Steve, and myself, and a couple others. Our friend Aaron is in that one, and Evan as well is going to jump into that as we're going to continue our Twilight Imperium or Embers of the Imperium game. So we're doing like a 3-week little session or a short adventure of that. So we're on session 2 tomorrow. So come hang out with us there. It's with the Genesis systems, new setting based on the old board game. And then
I'm in
on
danger.
what? Yeah, you are in danger. Yeah. You're probably the only one I would be worried about. You're in a touch of danger. Monday we should hopefully be back to Horror on the Orient Express. You can see myself, Melissa, and Jeremy in that one. And then Tuesday, what do we got, Steven?
We're off on Tuesday, but we would normally be playing Forbidden Lands.
That's a
We
great
will
point.
pick up on the 20th with you all fighting some frost spiders.
That is true. Normally we play Forbidden Lands weekly, but Melissa and I are off on Tuesday. We're not going to be around, so we're taking Tuesday up. And normally you can catch us there playing some Forbidden Lands. And then next Friday, it's possible we could end up playing some more Black Sword Hack. The schedule's a little bit in limbo. We've got to check. Aaron might have to dip out of Conan for a week. Melissa and I might even have to. So we're going to play Friday by ear next week. But yeah, later this month though, we're planning it for the 23rd. As long as that's cool with Long, who's going to be one of the players in this, but we're going to hopefully be starting up Delta Green before the end of the month. So we're starting a new Delta Green campaign. Not Steve. Derek says no. We're going to do that.
I'm not ready for the sleepless nights.
It's different this time. It's going to be different.
We need to have like mid meetings of us after when we're doing this campaign to like compare notes and like go over our theories.
Not wait till the very end.
I was a
like we did with the
conspiracy
possible
theorist last time.
Yeah,
we're gonna start a private group chat that Jeff's not in, so we can talk about everything.
Well, that's not very
just
nice.
to compare notes, just to
talk to you?
like.
Well, just so we can strategize.
I'll just talk to Jeremy, and he and I can reminisce about Viscid when we played it. When I ran it over Garble.
Make all the wrong choices.
Oh my god, that was so fun. Yeah. Oh, vastly. Like, it's funny because we did Impossible Landscapes here. So 30 something episodes of that. And we did like, I don't know, 6-7 episodes, something like that, of Visit over on Garblag. Vastly bad choices in both groups, but the different kinds of choices. And yeah, things went horribly wrong. Starbucks. I always remember Starbucks from that Garblag game. Oh my God, Megan, just wonderful chaos. All right. Thank you to everyone who hung out tonight. Thank you for those of you who threw out some bits. Thank you to those of you who subbed. Really do appreciate it. We're going to go ahead and raid our buddies over at the Defenders of Cobalt, who I believe are playing Old School Essentials tonight. I think that's what
they're doing some Thunder Rift.
Is it Thunder Rift? I think. Nice.
Yeah.
That's nice. Very cool. So I think they're doing OSC rules, if I recall correctly. So follow the raid. Check us out tomorrow, and have a good rest of your night. Thanks, y'all. Bye.
Bye.
Bye.